down. But, I mean, this is a Brewster team that is known for their pitching, but like everybody else on the Cape, they've lost a couple of key players down the stretch as well.
We'll see how it impacts them in the potential postseason meeting between these two teams, which will be locked in place, again, if the Mariners are able to win this afternoon. But Wyatt Scotty falls behind 3-0 to Simpson.
Yeah, it could also be locked in place if the YD Red Sox fall today as well. So a couple of different ways Harwich can clinch.
3-0 misses high for ball 4. It's a 4-pitch walk as Simpson heads down to first. 12th time that Simpson has walked this season. The first issued by Wyatt Scotty, who's in a bit of a predicament. 2 on and nobody out.
And this is a monstrous at-bat coming up here for Curtis Byrne, but it's also a big guy to try to get for Wyatt Scotty, who's still working on his first strikeout of the day.
So in steps the right-hand hitting TCU Horned Frog, Curtis Byrne.
Burns had his fair share of success against the Mariners so far this year, as has seemingly everybody. Again, not a lot of big number performances, but it's been a team effort in most of these games.
Byrne showing bunt in the first pitch from Scotty, misses outside.
Yeah, that's classic Brewster, and not a bad idea either. You bunt the 2 runners over, even if you get the out at first. You've got 2 guys in scoring position, only 1 away. A lot of different ways you could bring in what could be the first run of the game.
Been a rough stretch for Byrne at the plate lately. He is 2 for his last 24. And that might be why he's showing bunt. He gets it down. Scotty fields it. Gets a sure out at first, but both runners advance. Castillo up to third, Simpson at second. Great opportunity for the Whitecaps to strike first, as they have done all season long against Harwich.
And you're going to trust the bottom guys in the order here for Brewster, Nick Biddison and Trey Faltini, who are going to need to try to drive these runs in again. A strikeout goes a long way, but a ground out to the infield could do the same thing. And you'll see Harwich start to play in a little bit, looking to cut down that potential go-ahead at the plate. Wilkin right now playing just on the infield grass, same for Phillips.
So in steps Biddison. Virginia Tech Hokie. Scotty working from the windup, starts him with a breaking ball that misses high above the letters.
And again, you do wonder whether or not Harwich might have some action already up in that bullpen. You don't want to use too many guys, but Scotty really good the first time through the order in his first start against YD, but after that got roughed up pretty quick.
Biddison prone to the strikeout. He's fanned 25 times this year compared to just 12 walks. But here he puts one in play, grounder towards Wilkin. The runner will come in and score as Wilkin can't make the play. Crossing home is Castillo. The Brewster Whitecaps take a 1-0 lead in front of their home crowd against the Mariners.
Yeah, and that's, again, Wilkin worried about the transition before he had the ball in his glove. Tried to kind of scoop it up harder than I anticipated he would. And they are going to rule that an E5. So it's an unearned run, but that's not going to make Harwich feel any better as they fall behind for the 4th consecutive game against the Brewster Whitecaps.
Wilkin charged that one hard, went for the all-or-nothing scoop, couldn't get it. Would have been a tough play if he even was able to knock it down with Castillo charging for the plate. But now it's 1st and 2nd. Still 1 down. And the 9-hitter Trey Faltini with a good opportunity to extend the lead. He rips one into left field. That's a base hit. Simpson will round third. He's coming in. The throw from Kavanaugh. It's close play. The tag. They got him. Brendan Tinsman hangs onto the ball. Simpson thought he got in there. But what an assist from Kavanaugh out and left. And the lead stays at 1, 2 down.
I don't think Brendan Tinsman had to move his glove. That ball came in to the ankle of Will Simpson, and that was a little bit tough too because you saw he slid in. It was tough there for Tinsman to hang on to that ball, but that is just classic Harwich Mariners defense. Nobody in scoring position now too. You cut that lead runner off. You get out of this inning with just 1 run given up. That is a huge win if you're Harwich.
Tinsman able to field that throw on a hop, and like you said, Tyler, didn't even have to move the mitt. It was right on the money from Press Kavanaugh. So Biddison is at second, Faltini at first, and Spencer Jones at the plate. First pitch called strike for Scotty.
And that's got to be confidence right back into the mitt and the arm of Wyatt Scotty. Defense has been picking him up. Defense has looked a lot better for Harwich recently. Yes, that is technically an error on Wilkin, but his guys have been doing a good job behind him in this one so far.
0-1 skipped in the dirt. Yeah, last night was a bit of an aberration with the Mariners committing 3 errors, of course. Didn't really come back to bite them. But after a rough start to the season defensively for the Mariners, they've certainly cleaned it up. They've spent the last 2 weeks or so easily in the top half of the league in defense. Scotty's 1-1. Breaking ball rolled over, foul.
Yep, Scotty gets ahead here, so it'll be a 1-2 count coming up to Spencer Jones, who again is dangerous, but Scotty just needing one more out to get out of the inning and give the offense a chance to do something here. Got to keep this deficit as low as possible. Keeping it to 1 again, a huge victory for Harwich if they can get it.
Jones grounded out to first his first trip. He awaits the 1-2. Foul tipped off of Tinsman. Stays alive.
Yeah, fortunate that was a tip as we had a standoff here between the two bad boys. Harwich is going to win out on this one. Both of them charged in to get the baseball, which was dead center behind the plate. Then both held up to let the other one go. Then both came back at the ball. But Harwich's ball boy / bat boy able to pick that one up. Now we'll see if Wyatt Scotty can win the battle going on at home plate.
Jones towering in the box at 6'7". The 1-2. Fastball, he's able to lay it off. You don't see that too often, Tyler. He's 6'7" leadoff hitter. He can also run despite his huge frame.
Well, what is that? 5 strides down to first base?
Yeah.
Maybe 5.5.
He's got those Giannis strides.
And you got to think he's batting from the lefty's batter's box, too. So even less distance to cover. Euro stepping his way to first.
2-2, hit on the ground to first. Phillips able to glove it. And for the second time, Spencer Jones grounds out to Dylan Phillips, but not before the Brewster Whitecaps strike first in the bottom of the second. They lead at 1-0 at Stony Brook Field. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. We head to the third, 1-0 Brewster leading the Harwich Mariners. Fans for sales and rentals of Caterpillar machinery, generators, and marine engines. Visit MiltonCat.com, your area cat dealer. Milton Cat, Cape and Islands Caterpillar dealer, is proud to be a sponsor of today's game. Griffin Green out for his third inning of work. He's got a lead to work with now after the Whitecaps able to jump out in front with a run, but Tyler, thanks to some great defense for the Mariners, it's only 1 run.
Yeah, and it could have been a lot worse. You're looking at a position where they had runners on second and third, nobody out, or 1 out at that point, and they end up stranding a couple there. So for Harwich, an opportunity to bounce back. And again, I mean, at this point, you're 1 swing of the bat away from potentially tying this up. But if you're the Mariners, just trying to string some hits together, they're still looking for that first solid single in this one.
Here is Press Kavanaugh, who led off the ball game with a base hit to left field, dropped it over the third baseman Bullard's head. That'll help Kavanaugh's push towards the top of the CCBL in batting average. Comes into today's second. First pitch from Green is popped up foul out of play.
And not something we'll continue to update throughout the game unless it's, checking in every 2 or 3 innings maybe, but Harwich has now played 28 innings against the Brewster Whitecaps. They have trailed all of them.
0-1, and Kavanaugh chases one low. And the other thing to really check on is how things are going with Clark Elliott, who is the only man ahead of Kavanaugh in batting average, a .360 average. We saw Elliott on display when the Mariners faced the Harbor Hawks at White House Field as Kavanaugh fouls one off. Reached base all 7 times he went to the plate in that 18-16 shootout.
Yeah, crazy to think that a team with a guy like that at the top is 7-25, and we're eliminated from playoff contention before the final week and a half of the season. But it's just been another rough year for Hyannis.
And that's why these games still matter to the players, Tyler. I mean, they're trying to prove to everyone, whether it's coaches or scouts, that they belong in this league and that they're a guy that can really help out a major league organization in the future. 0-2 misses away.
Well, and it goes the other way as well. I mean, we've seen guys, we were talking about a couple of them for Chatham yesterday, including Lyle Miller-Green. He comes in this year as a JUCO guy. He has a connection with Tom Holliday, whose son's the head coach at Oklahoma State. Next thing you know, you're going from a JUCO to a D1 Power 5 school playing in the Big 12.
Green's 1-2. Called strike 3 at the letters, and Kavanaugh shakes his head and heads back to the dugout. Strikeout number 3 on the afternoon for Green, 1 down.
Yeah, Green's looked solid in this game. He hasn't looked unhittable as he did during that relief outing, but just kind of chugging along right now. 3 strikeouts in as many innings and going through the top of the Harwich order for a second time. It's important that Harwich, again, works those longer at bats and finds ways to get guys on base in most of these innings because, again, we saw a lot of just soft contact, quick 1, 2, 3 innings, and nothing will get a pitcher into a groove quite like that.
Chris Newell swings at the first pitch and hits a high pop-up just behind second. Faltini backpedaling makes the catch. Quickly 2 away for Green and the Whitecaps in the top of the third.
Well, and this is exactly what Harwich needs to avoid. This is a big at-bat coming up here for Brock Wilkin. Again, even if Harwich doesn't find a way to score, just try to throw the rhythm a little bit of Griffin Green. You don't want him going 6 innings here before you turn it over to a very capable Brewster bullpen.
Brock Wilkin bats with 2 down. He reached on a fielder's choice his first trip. Of course, 3 other games, including the Harbor Hawks and Red Sox, going around the Cape. You got the Katuitt Kettleers as the first pitch misses away. Katuitt Kettleers and the Falmouth Commodores in a crucial home and home starting tonight here at Arnie Allen Diamond down in Falmouth. As the 1-0 to Wilkin is in for a strike.
Yeah, right now those teams dead even in points per game this year.
Crazy tight as they battle for that second playoff spot. Of course, the Bourne Braves have already wrapped up the first playoff spot in the West. They travel to Wareham to take on the Gatemen. The Orleans Firebirds and Chatham Anglers both eliminated from playoff contention. Matchup at Veterans Field at 7 o'clock. 1-2 count now to Wilkin as he swings through that pitch.
Yeah, clearly sitting on a fastball, got a breaking ball instead, way out ahead of that, and now he'll have to settle in a little bit as Green looks to put him away.
Green trying to pick up his first 1-2-3 inning of the outing, the 1-2. Can't get Wilkin to chase the outside breaking ball.
Does a good job evening up the count here. Again, Wilkin, for a guy that typically does work ahead in counts because guys don't want to throw a lot of pitches in the zone to him. Also good at bouncing back when he does get too aggressive early and falls behind in counts, trying to do just that here.
Green's 2-2. Swung on and missed. Wilkin went after one low, and the inning is over. So Griffin Green adds a couple more strikeouts. He has 4 on the afternoon. 3 scoreless innings for the Whitecaps righty. Brewster leads at 1-0 after 2.5. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Yeah.
Bottom of the third inning. Harwich Mariners once again playing from behind against the Whitecaps. They trail 1-0. And Wyatt Scotty will look to keep that deficit at 1, as he will be tasked with facing the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Whitecaps. Tony Bullard, Jake Thompson, Chris Lanzilli due up in the inning. Bullard steps in. He is 1 for 1, singled. Reached on an infield single his first time up in the first.
Yeah, and we've seen guys get solid contact against Scotty. Harwich has not quite done the same on the other side, but his was not one. That's one, though.
Solid contact out to right field as Tony Bullard, 2 for 2 to begin the game. He leads off the bottom of the third with a single to right.
And now you're looking at a situation where 5 of the last 7 guys who have faced Wyatt Scotty have reached base. In a game that does feel kind of do or die, chance to secure a playoff spot, trying to claw your way back in the East. I know you don't want to use a ton of pitchers, but I mean, how much longer do you leave Scotty in a situation like this? And don't get me wrong, Scotty's been very capable this year, but this is kind of what we saw in that first game. Good start, and then things start to fall apart a little bit. Late first time through the order, early second time through the order.
First pitch in there for a strike. Got our first update out in Yarmouth as the Red Sox strike first, take a 1-0 lead over the Harbor Hawks in the bottom of inning number 1. And they are threatening. Already 1 home in the inning, runners on first and second with 2 down. Bullard takes the lead off first, and a throw over on him by Scotty. He's back with a dive.
Had a chance to talk yesterday on the broadcast, of course, with Tim Foley, and we talked a little bit about this Harwich pitching situation that they've gotten themselves into. So obviously you have Trey Dombrowski and Eric Raiselman. Beyond that, Spencer Geesting seems like the 3 guy. Scotty may be the 4 that they've been looking for.
Chopper to second. Code tries to get the force at second. He does. The return throw is late, and it goes high. Can't tell from here if it ended up out of play or if it hit the fence, and that answers our question. It did, in fact, hit the fence, so Jake Thompson reaches on a fielder's choice, and he will remain at first base with 1 down.
Yeah, and that's fortunate again for Harwich because you still have an opportunity to get out of the inning with a double play. But again, I'm kind of going back to the pitching conversation here for Harwich. I mean, it's interesting because, you know, Scotty might be the guy that we see starting these other games throughout the rest of the season. Eric Raiselman slated to start tomorrow against the Whitecaps, and then beyond that, we have no idea who we're going to see for these last couple of days.
First pitch fouled off by Lanzilli, catches the home plate umpire. Lanzilli flew out to center his first time up, didn't miss that one by much. He's got that power. We saw it late in the season in 2019 where he erupted. Had a 3 home run game against the Orleans Firebirds at White House Field. If I'm not mistaken, that was a 7-inning game in one of the doubleheaders, which you haven't seen at all this season in the Cape League. The 0-1 misses in tight.
And honestly, it's been a lot easier, certainly on the players, but also on us. I mean, again, you don't have to have a doubleheader twice a week because you had 2 games rained out every other week. And I mean, it's just a little bit less chaotic this season. Your off days are off days, and that's that.
1-1 count. Scotty with a breaking ball hit high in the air behind the plate. Tinsman chases after it. Just didn't have enough room as that creeps over the backstop. The count now is 1-2. And YD really pouring it on in the first inning. A 3-run home run from Cody Huff. Puts 3 more on the board for the Red Sox. They now lead at 4-0.
Yep, playing for their postseason lives right now. Obviously, YD needs a lot of things to go right, and that includes Harwich losing here and them winning a quick home-and-home with the Harbor Hawks.
1-2 in the dirt. Tinsman knocks it down, no advance. This is also off of a strong starting pitcher, an Adrian Saravo for Hyannis. He came in with a ERA under 3. That is quickly rising after a rough first inning for the right-hander. Thompson takes a lead off first, the 2-2. Fouled off by Lanzilli, caught him on the ankle.
Yep, got his own ankle or foot there. Either way, rolls away, and another opportunity here for Scotty. There is still the possibility of a double play, but you and I remember Chris Lanzilli well enough to know he doesn't put a lot of balls on the ground. For the most part, if he's getting out, he's flying out to the deepest parts of the ballpark.
Definitely has that launch angle with his swing. Another 2-2, but here we go. Hit on the ground to third. Wilkin fields it. Throw to second for 1. Return throw. It's close, but Lanzilli able to beat it as Phillips tried to stretch it out. Couldn't quite grab it. So another fielder's choice And a new runner at first once again in Lanzilli with 2 away in the inning.
Yeah, right now Brewster just swapping out who decides to stand on first base, but Chad Castillo, who got a hold of one back in the second inning, ripped a single. Now standing in the batter's box trying to make something happen here other than another recorded out.
Castillo came around to score the only run of the ball game thus far. Throw over and back with a dive, Lanzilli. That run not charged to Wyatt Scotty, who has so far gone 2 2/3 innings. Still looking for his first strikeout. Had 5 in his last outing and blows a fastball by Castillo.
Yeah, he's been filling up the zone, and it's reflected in the contact that he's been drawing throughout the course of this game. But yeah, I mean, a strikeout could go a long way for his confidence, especially if he's going to stay out there for a couple more innings. Only giving up the 1 run. He's looked pretty solid in that regard so far.
American flag moving gently out in center field. Not a whole lot of wind. Another check on the runner.
Yeah, pretty still sunny day here at Stony Brook. Obviously still working here in the afternoon, earlier start time to ensure that these games go to their conclusion, which is good because you don't want darkness-shortened games that affect playoff seedings or playoff positioning.
Definitely a favorable call by the league as the 0-1 misses down and away, and still a great crowd on hand for this Saturday afternoon. I talked before the game. I would certainly not be opposed to more of these earlier start times, even with, darkness setting in, even at fields that have lights. Always nice to have an early afternoon ball game on the weekends. Throw over by Scotty once more.
Yeah, and typically, I mean, your thought process is, well, you got to give everybody time to get off work, which can be true, but, I mean, you got to think a lot of the people that make up these games are also tourists or people that are here on vacation, so definitely options, and either way, you've seen pretty good attendance all year long after the missed 2020 season due to COVID-19.
No question, these Cape Cod locals missed their baseball as the 1-1 misses up and away to Castillo. Again, that 2020 lost season, the first time baseball was not played on the Cape since World War II. Crazy to think about how long it had been. Runner goes, the pitch is a called strike, the throw down from Tinsman, a leap, the tag, and he's safe, and now he's going to go to third. The throw to third, and we have a rundown as Wilkin tags him out. Incredible. The throw from Tinsman was on the money. The tag came loose as Lanzilli leapt over it. The ball was jarred loose. He tried to turn for third. I'm not even sure if he touched second, Tyler.
I think he did, but his momentum carried him off the bag, and at that point he couldn't get back on it. He had no choice but to turn and run for third. He had a little grin on his face, one that we saw when he was a Mariner, as he kind of got tagged out at third base. But yeah, that'll end the inning. What a wild sequence.
That counts as a stolen base for Lanzilli, but he is tagged out between second and third. The inning over. We're through 3 from Stony Brook Field. The Mariners trail the Whitecaps 1-0. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network.
Professional, own a commercial business, or are a homeowner.
We head to the 4th from Stony Brook Field, the 1-0 Brewster for the next 3 innings of play-by-play. Here is Tyler Henry. Tyler.
Thank you so much, Colin. And I want to go back and just kind of paint a stat for you. Wyatt Scotty allowed 3 runners to reach base, but faced the minimum. That's got to be one of the first times I've ever seen that. as he worked two fielders' choices and then found a way to get Chris Lanzilli out on a successful stolen base attempt between second and third. So it's another inning coming up here for Griffin Green as the Mariners look to put the bats to work. It'll be the heart of the order, Dylan Phillips, Carter Putz, and Jordan Beck. And Harwich still looking to start to square Griffin Green up. They've gotten decent contact so far, but you know this Mariners lineup can do more. It's just a matter of putting the pieces together against the darn Whitecaps.
Yeah, I'm sure they're sick of seeing them. The problem is they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They are on a collision course to face off in the Eastern Division Finals.
And the one thing you just cannot afford is to go 0-5 against Brewster and then try to win a playoff series. That's just not going to favor a team. Harwich needs to take preferably both of these next two games, but at the very least, you got to find a way to get one as Phillips takes strike one from Griffin Green, who's back out there for another inning of work.
And these teams have changed so much over the month and a half that we've seen this season being played in, but one thing stayed the same. Brewster's dominated.
They certainly have. As this pitch will miss down, count goes to 1-1, although you do like your odds if you're Harwich. If you can throw Trey Dombrowski and Eric Raiselman in back-to-back starts, you give yourself a really solid chance. You don't need a ton of run support in that situation. But they still have to find their first lead of the season against Brewster. Next offering, a breaking ball that'll miss down low here to Dylan Phillips.
And of course, that's a great 1-2 punch to have, but keep in mind, anything can happen in those two games, and if you force a game three, the question is, who's going to be that guy to take the ball?
You would think Spencer Giesting, as this is fouled away. Look out. Ducking out of the way there is Carter Putz. It kind of gives his teammate a little razzing right now. Like, what are you trying to do, man?
That's why you're always wearing a helmet.
Yep, absolutely. And that was an odd angle, too. Typically, this is a very safe spot to be in the on-deck circle, but not on that instance. The count here is 2-2 on Dylan Phillips. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Griffin Green from the windup sets and fires. And this is popped way up as drifting out is Bullard. Still looking out. It'll be a difficult catch, but he reaches up and makes it for out number one.
A heck of a play from Bullard to go back there. That's a tough play for a third baseman to make because you're running straight up the line backwards. It's a lot easier for a left fielder and a shortstop to make the play, but he committed to it, and luckily for him, he made the catch. I'm not sure if that would have fallen in foul territory either. It was slicing back towards that foul line. It's possible if it got down, we could have seen Phillips at first, potentially second.
Yeah, I mean, Colin, we're sitting right down that third base line. It looked like it would have been fair, so an opportunity squandered there. Really good defensive play made by Bullard, and that'll bring up Carter Putz. First pitch on the way to Putz. That'll miss up and in. Count starts off at 1-0. First time through the order for these Mariners. 3 guys reached base, all on singles. Press Kavanaugh with a blooper out to left. Jordan Beck had the infield single. Josh Hood had a rocket through the 5-6 hole. Next pitch, just in there for a called strike. Count evens at 1-1.
There's a right-hander getting loose now for the Mariners, so you wonder if 3 innings was the plan for Scotty. To his credit, despite not racking up strikeouts, he's done his job thus far.
No, he certainly has. He's allowed just the 1 run, and Harwich still very much has a chance as Putz takes this one to short, but it's misplayed by Faltini, and that's going to take it onto the outfield grass as it just kind of rolled up and kind of off the chest of Faltini. Really hard hit ball by Putz, and he's aboard here on the air.
Yeah, it was a smoked ball right at Faltini. He's in good position. The ball just ate him up, and you wonder if things would have been different. Remember Zach Neto for the Brewster Whitecaps? Everything hit in his direction was an out. Not really a knock on Faltini, but he was just so sound defensively at short. I think the Mariners are really pleased to not have to deal with him anymore.
Yeah, he was a vacuum out there at short, and there were so many plays that typically Harwich would have an opportunity to run out, but he was just so good at charging in as Beck swings through the first pitch. That's Jordan Beck at the plate now. Reached on the swinging bunt back in the second inning, was able to steal base, got all the way to third, but could not come around to score as Codier flied out to end that inning in center. Josh Hood standing on deck mentioned that he snapped a bit of a cold streak, and again, a powder keg in the on-deck circle, trying to get to him with a couple of guys on base. Jordan Beck will take the 0-1. He'll chop this one short to third. It'll be picked up, throw to first in time. So they do move the runner up 90 feet, but it'll be 2 away for Josh Hood.
Yeah, smart play there over at third from Bullard. He knows with Putz going to second. Putz not the fastest guy, but that's such a tough throw when you're charging in and throwing across your body. Made the sure play to get Beck, and even Beck's not really a sure route going down the line. He beat one out earlier on a chopper. This time, though, Bullard makes the strong throw, and now Green can just focus on the hitter here, doesn't have to worry about a couple of runners on base.
Yep, that hitter is, though, Josh Hood, taken in the 20th round by the Boston Red Sox, at least by all indications that we have, sticking around to play out his final year at NC State. Pitch to him, misses down and away. Count starts off at 1-0, and I mean, when you look at a guy like Josh Hood, typically he's either 3 for 4 with a home run and about 4 RBIs, or he's working on an 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. So far today, 1 for 1 with a single. Can that be what gets him going here? Look back to second, nobody holding the runner on, and Carter Putz. Count stays at 1-0.
Yeah, he had his best game of the season the night he was drafted by the Red Sox. Launched a home run, helped his team pick up a win.
Had a couple of RBIs on a big double in the gap as well. Stands in, ready for the 1-0. Here it comes from Griffin Green. And that'll miss off the plate, not by much, but a good take there by Josh Hood, who's showing a little bit more patience than what we're accustomed to seeing him show.
And that's kind of been the thing across the board for the Mariners. I've seen a lot of guys that have struggled all year long, especially with the strikeout. Seen much more patient approaches, and it's certainly produced a lot better results for those guys who we saw have high strikeout numbers early on.
He will send this one right at Faltini. This time, Faltini can't pick it up again. Throw's not going to be in time, and he sails it, and Harwich is going to collect a run. That ball goes out of play. Everybody gets a station, including Carter Putz, and the Mariners tie it on an error by Faltini. It was bad enough that he couldn't pick it up, and then he made a bad situation worse.
That's going to be 2 errors, Tyler, because it allows the runner to advance on the throw. What a nightmare inning for Trey Faltini. He just compounded things there. Couldn't really forget about that first one. Bobbles it. That allows Hood to beat it out, and then the throw puts Hood at second base, and of course with all that, the run scores it 2 away. Just a real tough inning for him over at short.
I mean, there are E6s written all over this inning of my scorebook right now. And that's, I mean, again, you can't have your shortstop having a bad day defensively. He's going to have to get out of his own head here. So the first offering will miss low here to Brendan Tinsman. Harwich on the cusp of potentially taking their first lead against the Whitecaps this season. Here in inning number 4, they've tied it up, 1-1 the score. Tinsman stands in at the dish. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout today. He's got Josh Hood standing on second. Hood advances on the ball, thrown out of play. Here is the 1-0. That's across for a called strike. That'll even it up at 1-1.
And it was the throw that really did the damage, because had he eaten it, still runners at first and third with 2 away. Your pitcher's in a good position to get out of the inning. That throw, I think if Faltini didn't make the error early in the inning, he's not taking that chance. I think you really wanted to make up for it right there with the throw.
Yep, just trying to do too much. And now he's put his team right behind the 8 ball. Griffin Green's 1-1 pitch. That'll be left upstairs here by Brendan Tinsman. To your point as well, if it doesn't go out of play, if it just gets stopped, it's a short enough run. I'm not 100% convinced that Hood is able to move up. Putz probably still scores, but you don't have the runner in scoring position right now. Two balls, 1 strike, the count right now. Griffin Green working out of the stretch here. Pitch on the way to Tinsman. In for a called strike at the knees. Tinsman shakes his head, doesn't love it, but he'll have to settle in here for the 2-2.
Has been consistent, though. That low strike has been called, and Green trying to use it to get out of the inning. Both runs scored in this game so far unearned.
Yep. Neither team has pushed one across on their own accord. We saw something similar here yesterday against Chatham. A couple of unearned runs early in that game as well. A game that Harwich was ultimately able to come back and win. Harwich has won 5 games against the Chatham Anglers. They've come from behind to win 4 of those. Harwich is tired of seeing Brewster. Chatham awfully tired of seeing Harwich. And that's kind of just how it goes in the division when you've got a team's number. Mariners still looking for their first victory over the Brewster Whitecaps in 2021. Big lead taken off of second here by Hood, but he'll hold up, and it's a 3-2 count as this pitch misses outside.
You've talked about it all season long, but the Mariners trying to make it a clean season sweep on Chatham, and that's a streak that dates all the way back to the previous season.
The fact that they could have potentially a 10-game winning streak over anybody on the Cape. It's very impressive. I think that is the longest active streak. We'd have to go back and look. Payoff pitch. Runner goes. That'll miss down and away. And it's a walk issue to Brendan Tinsman. That's what he does best. He reaches on the walk. And that'll bring up Max Codier with another RBI opportunity.
He sure does. That's one thing that he brings to the lineup. Great defense as well and the power, but his biggest strength easily is his discipline. Able to work back the count after falling behind. That's something that a lot of scouts are going to pick up on, is a guy that can take pitches at such a high level. Tinsman, his plate vision, second to none on this Harwich Mariners team.
Quite literally second to none. His walk-to-strikeout ratio easily the best on the team. With that one, he has now walked twice as often as he has struck out. It's contributed to, as we've mentioned a time or two before, an on-base percentage of over 500. So we've got a meeting on the mound right now between the pitching coach and Griffin Green. Looks like they will keep Green in the game, and now you see the bullpen catcher up and walking out to warm somebody up. So it is still Griffin's game for the time being.
That was just his first walk of the game, Tyler, so he hasn't had any control issues, and the run that came in this inning certainly wasn't his fault.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly what we've seen with Brewster. They don't walk a lot of guys. They don't really commit a lot of errors. You have to take advantage of the opportunities you're given. Harwich looking to do just that. This is not going to help as this ball's popped up high in the air, drifting out into foul territory, and Faltini settles under it and makes the catch. So he does a lot of damage, undoes a bit of it, but does single-handedly contribute to one run coming across to score. It's Carter Putz to even it up at 1-1. When we come back, Harwich back in the field here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. New pitcher to tell you about for the M's. It'll be Nick Stewart out of James Madison. His last outing did not go quite the way he would have wanted it to. Came against the Wareham Gatemen. He pitched a 1 2/3, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits, 3 strikeouts compared to only 1 walk. But a guy who came back to the Mariners after a stint with the M's in 2019, trying to kind of settle in a bit here, get his feet wet, and he is tasked with holding what is currently a 1-1 ball game in what feels like a must-win game for these Harwich Mariners.
What better opportunity to prove to your coaches that you can pitch in these high-leverage situations. Tie ball game against a team the Mariners have struggled with all season long. Stewart tasked with pitching the middle innings here and keeping it a close game.
Yep, book does close on Wyatt Scotty. We'll get you final numbers on him here in just a bit. But for now, the first pitch from Nick Stewart is on the way, and it's fouled off by Chad Castillo. It'll be Castillo, Will Simpson, and Curtis Byrne due up here for the Brewster Whitecaps. For Wyatt Scotty on the day, he gives up 1 run. It was not earned. Came on 4 hits through 3 innings. This next offering misses at the knees. Count starts here at 1-1. And looking at the rest of Scotty's numbers here, he only walks 1. Does not record a strikeout. So he did his job, as you mentioned, Colin. Just the 1 run given up, that's the big thing to take away. Not even an earned run, but they do take him out in place of Stewart, who misses down low here. Count goes to 2-1.
crazy thing about these two teams defensively, really similar. Both have the same fielding percentage, the same errors coming into today's game, and on top of that, the same total chances on the season.
That is pretty fascinating when you look at it.
That's 1,119 chances for both teams coming into today.
That is wild. Of course, these teams play in the same number of games, but given how many opportunities you have, it can change a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, the numbers completely identical defensively for these two teams. Harwich relying a little bit more on their bats, whereas this is a Whitecaps team that prides themselves on pitching. Count goes to 2-2 on Castillo.
Talk about a difference from 2 years ago. It was the opposite for this Whitecaps team. They had a terrifying lineup up and down the order, but their pitching was a big concern. Meanwhile, for Harwich, outstanding pitching up and down, and sometimes they just struggle to get consistent runs.
Yeah, there's a Brewster team in 19 that really did kind of just carry that puncher's chance into every single game they played. The 2-2. Chop foul. Count will stay right where it is. Of course, we've talked about it a couple of times this season, but I think still to this day, the craziest game that I've ever been on the call for was here at Stony Brook. Harwich got out to a monstrous lead early in that one. Brewster came all the way back to even it up, make it a one-run ball game, and the umpires had no choice but to call the game due to darkness, much to the chagrin of a pretty sizable Brewster crowd.
If only that game started at 4 o'clock.
No kidding. 2-2. Misses in the dirt. Count goes full.
Yeah, that was shaping up to be a real classic. I mean, it still was, despite the early conclusion. But, yeah, I've never seen a game like that with a team that came back. And it didn't take a lot of time for them to come back in that game. It was a matter of 2-3 innings.
Yeah, and it was a double-digit lead as the payoff is fouled away back to the screen. When we say a big lead, it wasn't a 6-run lead for Harwich. I believe it was an 11-run lead for the Mariners. And then all of a sudden, the Brewster Whitecaps came all the way back and ends 12-11 and helps Harwich secure that final playoff spot in the East. The rest is history. They went to the CCBL Championship Series, came up just shy of the Katuitt Kettleers. Stewart reaches back for another payoff to Castillo, and he will send this one back beyond the fans by the uncovered section. Count stays full.
Crazy thing, those Kettleers still hanging around in the West. Didn't seem like at any point this season they were a real dangerous team to anybody, but they're right there battling with the Commodores for that final playoff spot. And talk about two different teams. The reigning champs and a team that hasn't won the CCBL championship since 1981.
And any way you want to slice it, as this will miss well high. It's going to be a leadoff walk issued here to Chad Castillo for the second time in this game. He will reach base with nobody out. That'll bring up Will Simpson. But, yeah, I mean, the Bourne Braves have done what they've done this year. Nobody else in the West has a winning record. Still to this day, nobody else has a winning record. You're looking at the two teams that are competing for that spot along with Wareham. Katuitt comes into this one at 15-16-1. Falmouth at 14-15-2. Both of them with that .97 winning percentage. And then Wareham just a little bit behind at 11-12-5. This pitch misses upstairs to Will Simpson. Let's see if Nick Stewart can settle in here, trying to record a couple of quick outs. Just a 1-1 ball game. But again, a big one here for the Mariners. The 1-0. That is swung on and lifted foul off to the right side.
And a big reason why Scotty was able to have success against his Brewster lineup, Tyler, is he limited the walks. This Whitecaps team takes advantage of runners being put on base for free. It's when they don't have runners on base where they struggle to get those hits to put them on base. And so Scotty was able to do a great job with only one walk in his 3 innings.
Yeah, really impressive stuff from Wyatt Scotty, making just his second start here in the CCBL. And again, for a guy that has made now 3 appearances, he just showed up on the Cape a couple of weeks ago, and he's been another solid addition for the Harwich Mariners. Stewart misses this next pitch. Count will go to 2-1.
Of course, Scotty, a teammate of Cam Schlittler at Northeastern.
Yeah, plenty of Huskies around the league this year. The 2-1 pitch. That's in there for a called strike. Count evens at 2 apiece.
Ben Malgeri, another one. Former Harwich Mariner that was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Detroit Tigers in this year's draft.
Yep, a couple of those pipelines starting to emerge. Wouldn't be surprised if we see more Northeastern Huskies on the Harwich Mariners for the years to come. Stewart's 2-2, misses low. He'll fill the count again. Last time he walked Chad Castillo. Can he bounce back and get Will Simpson?
And Whitecaps waiting him out right now. Another full count. just showing a lot of patience against Stewart.
Yeah, nobody's been overly eager. Stewart looking for a quick out. Middle infield at double play depth. Payoff pitch. And he swings and misses. Got him with the breaking ball. That is the first strikeout of the day here for the aforementioned Harwich hurler and Nick Stewart.
Yeah, first strikeout for the Mariners in general with Scotty not recording any, and Simpson really helped him out there. That was a breaking ball, good foot outside, and he went after it. Had no shot at making contact, and big out number 1 for the Mariners after allowing the leadoff man on.
So Stewart will now face Curtis Byrne, who laid down a sac bunt back in the second inning to put Chad Castillo on third base. And then Castillo came across to score on the Brock Wilken error. First pitch to him. Misses up and in. He'll duck out of the way. Count starts at 1-0.
We'll see if Byrne gets an opportunity to swing the bat here. Again, he had been struggling coming into this game at the plate. Big reason why we saw him bunt over both runners, and it paid off with the lone run for Brewster coming in on an error.
Yep, hitting in a big spot right now. The 1-0. That'll just miss off the outside part of the plate. Count goes to 2-0 here on Curtis Byrne. We've talked about it a lot throughout the course of this game, throughout the course of this season. This is not a Brewster Whitecaps lineup that is going to go out and drop an 8 spot on you on a regular basis, but they'll do basically exactly what they need to do to get a victory. A lot of slim margin wins for Brewster in this one as this goes all the way back to the fence. It'll bounce up on a low pitch here by Nick Stewart. The count goes to 3-0 on Curtis Byrne, and that'll allow Chad Castillo to move up to second.
That's huge. Go-ahead run, up to second base. And for Byrne, that takes a little bit of the pressure off, at least if you end up being retired on a fly ball, a ground out, whatever the case. You got an opportunity to put that go-ahead run 90 feet away. So not only that, 3-0 count really makes it a lot easier as a hitter as well.
That it certainly does. So the count goes 3-0. We'll see if Byrne likely going to keep the bat on the shoulder here. Stewart sets. Long look in right now for the sign. Brings home the pitch, and this is wild as well. So it's going to be another walk issued here by Nick Stewart. Walk, strikeout, walk. That's how he started his outing. And he'll now face the second baseman, Nick Biddison.
And we talk about this lineup not being that terrifying, but this is how they do their damage. Only the Harwich Mariners have walked more as a team this season, as Steve Engler going to go out and talk with his pitcher, but these are two teams that draw a ton of walks, and Brewster, not very good in the other metrics in terms of hitting, but they know how to be patient, and obviously they like to steal a lot when they get those guys on base, so we'll see if we have runners in motion.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of aggressive base running out of this Whitecaps team so far in 2021. A conversation right now being had on the mound between Nick Stewart, Steve Engler, and the entire infield, though we'll leave him in the game for now. And you wonder what the leash might be like for Nick Stewart. He has walked 2 runners on base, has not surrendered a hit yet. He'll face Nick Biddison, who reached on that error and allowed the run to score back in the second inning.
It's the other thing with Brewster. They don't get a lot of extra base hits as well. Last in the league in doubles, tied for last with Orleans. Second to last in home runs. I mean, they don't get those big hits. They just put enough guys on base that a single will get the job done.
Yep, death by 1,000 paper cuts. A very patient lineup top to bottom as well. First pitch on the way, and that comes in, and boy, that could have been a whole lot worse. He hits Nick Biddison on the upper shoulder, about an inch up and an inch in, and that thing would have been on the helmet, a high fastball. And that will load the bases for Trey Faltini. And talk about a shot at redemption. Faltini single-handedly allowed an error, then another error, both of which resulted in a Harwich run. Now he has a chance with the bases loaded and 1 away to make something big happen for Harwich.
That's a great thing about baseball is you commit 3 errors in the top half of the inning. You got a chance to be the hero and give your team the lead in the bottom half. 2 sides to every coin.
So here we go. Nick Biddison digs in to face Nick Stewart. He has put all 3 of the runners on base on himself. Can he dig his way out? First pitch to Faltini, in for a called strike.
And just a fly ball will get it done. Of course, as I just mentioned, Brewster not a team that has a lot of extra base hits. They don't really need one here with 3 runners on base.
Corner infielders all are playing in a bit. At least Brock Wilken potentially trying to cut the run down at home. They do have a force at home, which is always a lot easier of a play to make. This skips on the dirt. Good stop here by Tinsman. Count goes to 1-1.
You talk about plays at the plate. We had one earlier. How big does that throw from Kavanaugh loom right now after cutting down Will Simpson, who at the time would have made it a 2-0 game?
It's massive. There's a lefty up and warming in the Harwich bullpen. You wonder how much time, again, if Stewart gives up a run or two here. But right now, Nick Stewart looking to knuckle down and get this next out. 1-1 the count to Trey Faltini. Pitch on the way. Big swing and a miss. Faltini helps him out. That pitch up above the letters. And he took a big cut. Came up empty. Maybe a little bit overly eager. As it looks like Danny Wilkinson is the arm up and warming in that Harwich bullpen. And that's the other thing for Faltini. Yeah, he's in a chance to get some redemption, but that may actually play against him here. He may be a little bit fired up with the bases loaded in a game that's only tied because he allowed a run to score, trying to make something happen. Stewart knows that well. Comes set. Bases loaded, one away. The 1-2 pitch. That'll miss around the letters. Count even at 2-2.
It's an excellent take right there. I mean, tough pitch to lay off. Borderline pitch. Didn't want to go up and try to kill that one. Of course, pop-up wouldn't do the Whitecaps any good here. So a great take and puts a little bit more pressure on Stewart to make a pitch here with a 2-2 count.
Big spot for Stewart. Again, he's had his fair share of struggles, looking to earn the trust of his team here as we enter the last week of the season. He'll miss this pitch low, and Faltini has worked his way back to a full count. Stewart's got nowhere to put him.
Faltini's got this Whitecaps crowd behind him as well. They know this is a crucial pitch in this ball game.
Chad Castillo on third, Curtis Byrne on second, Nick Biddison on first. Two were walked, the third was hit. Trey Faltini at the plate. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away here in the home half of the fourth. The payoff pitch. Ball 4, and that's going to give the Whitecaps the lead back, and the bases are still loaded with 1 out for Spencer Jones.
Obviously troubling when that's the 4th guy put on base by Nick Stewart, but tons of credit to Trey Faltini, able to shake off the tough top half of the inning and bring home the go-ahead run with that walk. I mean, he looked dead in the water in that at-bat, was able to work it back, and sure enough, right now he's looking like the hero.
Yep, and that's going to be it for Nick Stewart. It'll be Danny Wilkinson to enter the game for the Mariners. We'll talk a little bit more about Wilkinson and what he brings to the table when we come back. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. New pitcher coming into the game. It's the hard-throwing southpaw Danny Wilkinson out of Villanova. Fastball, curveball, changeup for him. He has been really good for the M's in spots like this. And, you know, you and I were kind of talking yesterday, and I was talking with Tim Foley as well. You know, are we going to see Wilkinson start coming in earlier in some of these games? And the answer seems to be yes. It is interesting, of course, that Stewart, after a couple of rough outings, gets placed in the game at that juncture. And so far, just the 1 run given up, but Wilkinson is going to inherit a mess here in inning number 4.
Yeah, we definitely didn't want to see him this early into the game. You would have hoped that Stewart could have gone a little bit further, but he struggles in this fourth inning. And
Once again,
yeah,
Spencer
you mentioned
Brown
Wilkinson's been
at
good
the
in these
plate.
spots. He's going to have to be with the Brewster top of the order coming to the plate.
So far this season, Danny Wilkinson has made 7 appearances, a 5.27 ERA, which does look bad, but most of that damage was done in one game. For the most part, he has been solid so far this year, and that's reflected in his 22 strikeouts to only 5 walks. Totals on the year. Sweeping breaking ball in for a called strike. He's got Spencer Jones just kind of looking at that. Jones looking for his first hit of the day. He's grounded out to the first baseman in both of his at-bats to this point. Next offering will miss. Count evens at 1-1. Curtis Burns stands on third. Nick Biddison stands on second. Trey Faltini is on first. This is the 6th batter of the inning, and the defense has not touched the baseball yet. There's a walk to Castillo, a strikeout of Simpson, a walk, a hit batter, and a walk. Wilkinson's next offering, fouled away. That'll make it a 1-2 count as that one sliced foul off to the left side, and Wilkinson now ahead.
This inning, a stark contrast from the first 3 for the defense. They were involved in all but one at-bat. That wasn't even an at-bat. It was a plate appearance because Will Simpson drew a walk.
So a much different approach here. Wilkinson looking for a big out. 1-2 the count. The pitch just misses, and it's got to be tough as a home plate umpire when you've got a guy standing in at 6'7". Everything looks like the strike zone.
Yeah, very tough zone to gauge.
So the count is even at 2-2. Danny Wilkinson, a strikeout could go a long way towards getting the Mariners out of this inning. The 2-2. Swing and a miss at a pitch. That was, it looked like it slipped. There wasn't a prayer for Tinsman to get a hand on it, even after he popped out of his stance. And Spencer Jones swung. I just needed a second to collect myself to make sure that I saw that correctly. I did. That's going to be a strikeout. I mean, I say he climbed the ladder on him, but that was like a fire truck ladder.
Yeah.
Extended to the 14th floor of an apartment building.
Yeah, I missed that one way up and way outside as well. So that's 2 bad strikeouts for the Whitecaps in this inning, really helping the Mariners try to get out of this jam.
And that's huge because that is the second out of the inning. Wilkinson will now face Tony Bullard. First offering to him is a ball at the knees. Bullard has reached on 2 singles today, so this will be a tough out. But I'm just going to say it, Colin. You and I have been doing games for 2 years now. That's the worst swing I've seen in the CCPL.
Yeah, really, yeah, again, like I said, 2 bad strikeouts. The Simpson one was bad. That one was even worse.
Here's that rainbow curve. That'll miss upstairs. Count goes to 2-0 on Tony Bullard. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you get caught swinging at a pitch in the dirt that skips in front of the plate. It may look good coming out of the hand of the pitcher. That thing was never anywhere close.
Both were with full counts.
Yes. Typically you're being more protective, but a little aggression pays off for the M's. 2-0. Swing and a miss. Blows a fastball by him. Tony Bullard makes it a 2-1 count. Wilkinson 2 strikes away or 1 out away from getting out of this inning.
Bullard was sitting on that slow curve. That fastball came up on him in a hurry, and he was way late. He started to swing as Tinsman was squeezing it.
Yeah, no chance to pull that back in time to make contact, and now Bullard's going to have to get back in the box and guess again. The 2-1. There's another fastball. He blows it by him on back-to-back pitches, and now options for Wilkinson with a 2-2 count.
And Wilkinson doesn't have that ridiculous triple-digit heat. It sits in the low 90s, but it seems so much faster when he slows it down on you with that breaking ball 20 miles an hour less.
Yeah, the drop-off is considerable here for Danny Wilkinson, who's worked his way back into a 2-2 count. Bases loaded, 2 away here in the inning. Brewster looking to break the game open, and instead, Danny Wilkinson comes back and breezes a fastball by Tony Bullard, his second K of the day. And despite loading the bases with 1 out, Brewster manages to get just 1 run. We will step away when we come back. The Mariners looking for a little comeback. 2-1 the score. Whitecaps lead it here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to the ballpark here at Stony Brook Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. To the 5th inning we go. Harwich now trailing it again by 1. And really, you look at the situations that the Mariners have put themselves in. They're fortunate to only be down in this game by 1. They still very much have a chance, but the offense is going to have to get something started here.
Yeah, they're really going to have to get it going with the top of the order due up. And that was a really strange 4th inning, I'll tell you. 3 errors from Trey Faltini in the top half, and yet he's the reason why Brewster's leading going into the next inning.
Certainly is. First pitch misses down to Press Kavanaugh. Top of the order due up, as you mentioned. It'll be Kavanaugh, Newell, and Wilkin. And the Mariners still on the hunt for that first lead against the Whitecaps in 2021 here in the 4th game between the two. Approaching the halfway mark as this next pitch called strike. And you hear the discomfort and the upset nature coming from the Harwich dugout right now, but as you mentioned, Colin, that's been consistent across both teams. It's not really a strike, but it's called the same. You got to make that adjustment. And trying to make the adjustment, swinging at a pitch well low, is Kavanaugh. Makes it a 1-2 count.
Yeah, Green seems to have adjusted since the first at-bat between these two guys. Kavanaugh went down looking his last time up, and now Green ahead in the count 1-2.
Trying to put him away here, brings home the next pitch. That'll miss well outside. Count even at 2-2 here for Kavanaugh.
We always talk about hitters making adjustments at the plate the next time through, but you can't forget about pitchers also changing their approach.
Certainly, as you have to play to whatever strike zone you're being given. The 2-2. Misses outside, count goes full, and the other thing too, you just get the feeling if Harwich could find a way to get a victory against Brewster, that's just going to give them all sorts of new confidence. There's this, I think I called it a cloud earlier, just kind of hanging over the Mariners every time they meet with the Whitecaps. You want to break that? Find a way to get a victory and then bounce back again tomorrow with another chance at it as Kavanaugh fouls this away. You just get the feeling that there's a huge opportunity for Harwich. If they can find a way to get one, the rest of the wins can follow.
Yeah, that'll be crucial again. These two teams probably going to meet in the playoffs. It would take really a miracle for that to change at this point.
Yep, two teams have already been eliminated in the East. As Kavanaugh swings through this, that'll be another strikeout for Griffin Green on the day. That is K number 5, and that will bring up Chris Newell.
Now batting, the center fielder from Virginia.
Again, just YD, the only team that could potentially make the playoffs, and they would need a lot of help from teams like the Whitecaps going down the stretch.
Yeah, the number of scenarios in which YD could be eliminated, it's a lot. They could lose a game at any point in the next 5 days. Harwich could win a game any point in the next 5 days. You could also have 2 ties for the YD Red Sox, 2 ties for the Mariners, or 1 tie for each. That being said, we've seen stranger things here in the CCBL. And for as much as we hyped up a couple of tight playoff races, we could have 3 out of the 4 playoff spots set by the end of the day. As this pitch misses inside, count goes to 2-0 on Chris Newell.
If the scores hold, the Mariners will certainly have to wait another day as YD leading 8-0 in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. 2-0 in there for a called strike.
And if YD does miss the playoffs, the real number they can look at is their pitiful record against the Western Division. That'd be the difference between them and Harwich. The Mariners dominating the West, YD really struggling against those teams.
Yeah, Harwich 11-2-2 against the West this year. 2-1. Misses low. Count goes to 3-1 here on Chris Newell, who has hit the ball well in both of his at-bats, but especially back in that first inning. Drove one to the deepest part of the ballpark, came up just shy of being a solo home run. He's got Brock Wilkins standing in the on-deck circle, 1 away here. Mariners trail it by 1, home half, or rather the visitors' half of the 5th. 3-1 to him, takes a big cut, comes up empty, count goes full.
Good bounce-back pitch there from Green. Pulling the string on the changeup, keeping it down in the zone. That's important for pitchers. Keep the ball down on Newell. We've seen guys try to climb the ladder on it, and they've paid dearly.
Yeah, you got to be awfully careful. He's not the kind of guy you want to challenge. Payoff coming. Soft breaking ball, even softer contact. That'll go to 3rd, picked up, throw to 1st, and it's in time for out number 2.
Slow roller hit over to 3rd, and Bullard, really strong defensive performance so far from him. He's been active, had to make that tough play behind 3rd a couple innings ago, and he's had a couple of chances on the ground as well, so defensively, outside of that tough inning from Faltini, the Whitecaps have looked sound as they usually do.
Yep, and that does bring up Brock Wilkin, who today is 0 for 2, a fielder's choice and a strikeout back in that third inning. First pitch to him. Breaking ball, misses upstairs, and that'll bring it to a 1-0 count. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Harwich has hit a home run against the Whitecaps this year.
They have not.
So just another thing to kind of keep an eye on. Again, not that you need one over the fence, but Harwich has not had one all year. This will miss. Down and away. Count starts off at 2-0 here on Brock Wilkin.
Brewster with a pair, if I remember correctly, against the Mariners this season. And it's a Brewster team that does not hit a lot of home runs.
Yep. Team that has been more consistent with contact than with power. Wilkin stands in ahead in the count here, 2-0. Griffin Green working on a 5th inning of work. Sails one upstairs. Count goes to 3-0.
I'm interested in seeing if he has the green light. The wind is blowing out to left field. It's starting to pick up a little bit. So you wonder if Wilkin might try to swing for the fences with the bases empty, 2 away, try to tie things up himself.
Yeah, if he gets a meatball, you never know. But again, it's a question of whether or not he has permission. And he doesn't need permission as this misses low. It's a 4-pitch walk to Brock Wilkin, and the Mariners have the tying run aboard here with 2 away. And Dylan Phillips coming to the plate.
Didn't seem that Green had any interest in challenging Wilkin. And in his defense, why not at this point, as he didn't really have to go right after him with the bases empty and 2 down. But that'll prompt a mound visit. We'll see if he's allowed to try to finish this inning. He would be in line for the win if he's able to get this final out.
Yeah, it looks like he will not be able to, though. They're going to go ahead and call to the bullpen here, and we'll have a new pitcher coming in to face Dylan Phillips. We'll get you an update on who it is when we come back. You're listening here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Let's go ahead and get you a look at the new pitcher coming into the game, replacing Griffin Green. It will be Dylan Simmons out of Jacksonville, University of Florida State. And looking at his numbers this year, like almost everybody else in this bullpen, he has been excellent through just 5 appearances. He's recorded a save, pitched 8 innings. He has a 1.13 ERA, 10 strikeouts compared to only 3 walks, and he has allowed just 1 earned run so far this entire season. Harwich looking to even things up here, and they're going to have a tall task facing off against Dylan Simmons.
It seems like the Whitecaps have a new pitcher every single time the Mariners face them that has been absolutely dominant all season long. 2 of the deepest teams when it comes to pitching we've seen all year long, and Simmons is no different. Florida State Seminole just tasked with getting the final out of this inning, but no surprise if he comes back out for the 6th and tries to go the distance and really eat some innings for this Whitecaps team that looks to get one step closer to clinching the #1 seed in the East.
Colin, this team has 9 players with a sub-3 ERA this year. That is ridiculous.
Checks out.
And one of those is up right now in Dylan Simmons. He'll face off against a Dylan for Harwich and Dylan Phillips, who has a runner on first here. So again, Dylan Simmons will get to work. Tough part of the order to face, but bright side for him, he needs just 1 out. And obviously, stats aren't something that a lot of these guys care about. For Brewster, it's more about finding ways to get the wins, but no chance to come back and record a victory for Griffin Green. He is just 1/3 shy. There's a good breaking ball. That'll miss inside here to Phillips. Count starts at 1-0.
And I'm sure he's disappointed he wasn't able to go the full 5 innings, but still a really strong outing for Green, and definitely an arm that I wouldn't be surprised we see in the postseason against the Mariners.
Yeah, would not be surprised in the slightest. So the count goes 1-0. Simmons looking to Pitch clean frame, gets a big swing and a miss here on that same breaking ball to Phillips. Keeping everything down, and looks like Phillips wants an extra second to think this over. Steps all the way out to the grass behind the batter's box. Now comes back in, ready for the next pitch. Again, a member of Florida State University. Simmons is the teammate of Harwich Mariner Brandon Walker. The 1-1. Fastball misses upstairs. Count goes to 2-1.
And this Brewster team as a whole has a 3.30 ERA. And that's a crazy number itself, but it's second to Bourne with 2.96. Really just tells the whole story of how special that unit has been for the Braves this season.
Yep, that is absolutely insane. You look at the numbers for those two and for a couple of other teams that are atop the league right now in ERA. Count goes to 3-1 here. Phillips has worked his way ahead.
And you don't want to put him aboard and give Carter Putz, who's been money all season long with runners in scoring position.
Yep, still a dangerous part of the lineup for Harwich. It doesn't get much easier through the heart of the order. The 3-1. Big swing and a miss there. Phillips trying to give Harwich the lead. He comes up empty. It's now a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 away here in the visitors' half of the 5th inning. Brock Wilkin on first represents the tying run. Dylan Phillips would represent the go-ahead at the plate. Simmons has surrendered just 1 earned run all season long. Harwich has not hit a home run off of the Whitecaps at all in 2021. Payoff pitch, runner goes, and that misses inside, so Dylan Phillips works a walk here. Good patience for him on a pitch that was a little bit closer than I thought. And that's going to put runners on first and second for a guy who's been driving runs in like crazy left and right all year. It's Carter Putz.
Back-to-back walks here from the Mariners. Wilkin draws one, and Phillips able to coax one as well. That's good to see when 2 of your biggest free swingers are able to keep the bat on their shoulder to prolong the inning and give the guys behind them a huge opportunity to tie this ball game up, or perhaps give Harwich their first lead against Brewster all season long.
Yep, and you got a good guy up at the plate to try to do it. It's Carter Putz, who again this year has been very good in these situations. He's been one of the better situational hitters top to bottom in the Harwich order. He'll take the first pitch inside for ball 1.
Yeah, for Simmons, the walks have been a bit of an issue for him. 3 through 8 innings. That's not a terrible mark, but he's already put one aboard without recording an out.
And that's the key right now. The outs are what he needs to find ways to get. Just needs to get one more to get out of the inning. Harwich threatening right now with Carter Putz at the plate. The pitch. Called strike on the outer half. Putz doesn't like it. He'll have to take a deep breath and settle in here. Trying to, at the very least, keep the inning alive and get it to the next man up, Jordan Beck.
This is where these at-bats really matter for Harwich. They've struggled even in the few opportunities that the Whitecaps have given them all season long.
Have not been given many opportunities. They took advantage of one earlier in this game to even it up at 1-1. The 1-1 pitch. Smash to the right side. That's going to get down, and that will roll. Should be deep enough to score at least 1 run. Dylan Phillips is going to be held up at third. Sliding into second, or rather standing up at second, is Carter Putz, and it's an RBI double. We're tied here at Stony Brook Field, 2-2.
Like we said, the guy you want at the plate in these situations, Carter Putz, goes the other way. Second straight outside fastball that Simmons threw to him. He took the first one, adjusted, and then took the second one over the first baseman's head. Huge piece of 2-out hitting, and the Mariners with a great chance now to take the lead.
Yep, it puts runners on second and third for Jordan Beck. And this is huge for the Harwich Mariners. They have played now 30 innings. With these Brewster Whitecaps, they have not led at any point all season. They're on the brink of that right now with Jordan Beck at the plate. They'll have to do it against Simmons, who's still yet to give up more than 1 earned run all year. First pitch will miss outside to Beck. Count goes 1-0.
It's now the 14th RBI this season for Putz. Now pulls even with Josh Hood, tied for second behind Brock Wilkin on the team.
Does close the book on Griffin Green. He gives up 2 runs, 1 earned on 3 hits through 4 2/3, strikes out 5 and walks 2. It's up to Dylan Simmons right now to try to record that crucial final out. The 1-0 pitch in there for a called strike at the knees. Beck shakes it off. Count is even at 1-1. This is, without a doubt, the biggest at-bat of the game. Could potentially end up being one of the biggest at-bats of the Mariners season, as you just don't know how many more chances with a pitching staff like this that Brewster comes out with that you're going to have. Critical spot right now, runners on second and third. And it looks like Simmons wants a second to step off and think about it. Now he'll get back in to face off against Beck. Beck is 1 for 2 today, had an infield single back in the second, grounded out to the third baseman in the fourth. Still looking for his first RBI of the day. The 1-1 misses up and in. Count goes to 2-1 as Beck ducks away.
And obviously the focus right now is the Mariners clinching a playoff spot with a win today. But you can't forget that a win would also put them in the traditional standings a half game behind the Brewster Whitecaps. Then all of a sudden, home field is in play for that Eastern Division series.
And that goes both ways, because if Brewster sweeps the home and home, there's no route for the Mariners to get back into the 1 seed. They would lock it up, they could coast the rest of the way, and then focus on coming back to play a Mariners team that, if that ends up being the case, they would be undefeated against on the season. But Jordan Beck looking to try to avoid that fate for the Mariners. The 2-1. Misses inside. Good stop there by Curtis Byrne. Count goes to 3-1.
Yeah, Simmons choosing a bad time to have his worst inning so far with the Whitecaps. Really out of sorts when it comes to throwing strikes. And when he did throw strikes, Carter Putz turned it around the other way.
Well, and again, he's given up just 1 earned run all season long. He's got 2 guys in scoring position right now as Beck steps out of the batter's box, adjusts the batting gloves, now digs back in. 3 balls, 1 strike to pitch. And this one's going to be skied high in the air out into the gap in left center. Plenty of time for Spencer Jones to settle under it. He looks up and makes the catch, and the Mariners strand 2. But they strike for 1. It's a 2-2 ball game here at Stony Brook Field. You're listening here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back here at Stony Brook Field as we head to the home half of inning number 5. It'll be another inning coming up for Danny Wilkinson as the Harwich Mariners looking to keep runs off the board. They tie it up, but Collins, so far in this game, they've stranded 5 runners in scoring position. You just don't know how many more opportunities like that you're going to get, as Harwich is looking for still their first lead, but also their first win over the Whitecaps here in game number 4 between the two.
Yeah, it's never good to be leaving guys on base left and right. A couple of times so far, they've left 2 on base, and yeah, you wonder if those will be missed opportunities if you look back on this game with how great Brewster's pitching's been. You don't know how many times you'll get that chance per game, and already the Mariners have often squandered it.
First pitch from Wilkinson misses upstairs. Count goes to 1-0. It'll be the 3, 4, and 5 hole hitters due up for the Whitecaps: Jake Thompson, Chris Lanzilli, and Chad Castillo. From the windup, Wilkinson's 1-0 offering. Swing and a miss. Breezes another fastball by Jake Thompson.
Yeah, that's been his pitch so far in this outing, that fastball. Really catching these Whitecaps by surprise, and I think it's just because they have that thought in the back of their mind with that breaking ball.
Here's another fastball. This one will miss down and away 2-1, and wind's starting to really pick up. It's blowing out to left field. That's going to help any right-handed batter that comes up, at least for the time being, and it's whipping the flag around pretty good out in straightaway center. The 2-1. There's that breaking ball in for a strike. And that thing's got some nasty movement on it. We've seen it all year long, but it still continues to impress us.
Yeah, you have to be sitting on it if you want to make contact because there's just no way you can adjust when you're waiting for a fastball and then you see that thing come in. It's almost impossible.
2-2, misses in the dirt. Count goes full here on Jake Thompson. This has been an uncharacteristically long affair between these two. Typically, we've had pretty quick ball games between Harwich and Brewster. We're at the 2-hour mark of this one, only about halfway through. Actually, exactly halfway through. 4.5 innings gone as this ball is fouled away by Thompson. That'll keep the count full.
Yeah, these last couple of innings, lengthy ones with both teams threatening, but minimal offense thus far.
Yep, minimal offense on both sides. Mentioned that the Mariners in this one have already stranded 8 runners aboard. Brewster has stranded 6, including the bases loaded back in the 4th. Payoff pitch is lunged at, barely able to connect on the curveball, and just poking one into center field is Jake Thompson. And for the 3rd consecutive inning, rather the 4th consecutive inning, the leadoff man is aboard for the Whitecaps.
That's really all you can do with that breaking ball when you're sitting fastball, especially with a full count. Thompson lunged at it quickly, and then he just had to slow his bat down just to make contact. And it was just enough to drop it in front of Newell out in center field, and here come the Whitecaps again threatening.
Yep, and Chris Lanzilli at the plate, a guy that, again, helped Harwich eliminate these very Whitecaps back in 2019, now trying to secure the home field advantage for Brewster. Heading into the postseason, they are the only team in the Eastern Division to secure a playoff spot. One more spot up for grabs, currently being fought for between Harwich and YD. 1-0 from Wilkinson, misses in the dirt. Count goes to 2-0 here on Lanzilli.
I know it's just been recently announced, but Lanzilli's got to get himself some cardinal and white cleats to replace his old Wake Forest ones.
Right now, matching the catcher, Brendan Tinsman. They've got the same cleats. Rocking the white and gold of the Demon Deacons. 2-0. Misses inside, gets away from Tinsman. That's going to allow Jake Thompson to move up to second.
And for Lanzilli, that's going to be a great opportunity at Arkansas. You're talking about a team that was the best team in the country for much of the college baseball season this past year. Of course, a disappointing end to their College World Series aspirations, but still joining an outstanding program down in Arkansas.
And this is kind of one last shot for Chris Lanzilli, a guy who I think a lot of people thought was a surefire draft pick this year, does not end up getting selected as he will watch ball 4. It's a 4-pitch walk for Danny Wilkinson. Runners will be at first and second for Chad Castillo, but you know, not a bad idea. You transfer to a slightly bigger baseball program, you get some more eyes on you, and give yourself one more chance to get taken in the MLB draft.
It's exactly what Josh Hood's doing. I mean, of course, Hood already drafted, but going to be a good opportunity for him to improve his draft stock, of course, if he doesn't sign with the Red Sox. I believe that deadline actually is tomorrow, so we will know for sure sooner rather than later what his decision is.
Chad Castillo comes to the plate now for the Brewster Whitecaps. He has reached twice. He has scored twice. Both runs on the board represented by Castillo, who watches a first pitch breaking ball miss outside. Count goes to 1-0.
This heart of the order getting it done for Brewster in this game. Reached base in 6 of 8 plate appearances.
Yeah, everybody has found their way on except for Spencer Jones, the leadoff man, who is over 3. Wilkinson looks the runner back to second, brings home the 1-0. That misses low. Now 6 consecutive pitches outside of the strike zone for Danny Wilkinson. That's going to prompt Coach Gruenberg to get up and walk out, have a word with a guy that you get the feeling Colin Harwich probably hoping he'd go at least to the 7th or 8th in this one.
Yeah, not good to see him struggle with command after Nick Stewart had the same fate and only went a third of an inning. You don't want to burn through all these pitchers when you have to face this lineup again tomorrow. And that's exactly what's been going on right now for the Mariners. You wonder if maybe Scotty should have gone out for another inning, but hindsight's 20/20. Scotty struggled in that 4th inning, his last outing. Just a tough situation, and Wilkinson's going to have to turn things around and right the ship.
Yeah, he certainly will. And obviously it's good that you've got Eric Raiselman going tomorrow if you're the Harwich Mariners. But let's remember it, Raiselman's not usually a guy that's going to extend himself beyond 5 or 6 innings. He'll give you 5 or 6 really good ones, but you've got to have guys in the pen that can carry you the rest of the way. And historically, Danny Wilkinson has been that guy. Comes in, gets a couple of innings, turns it over with a lead to Owen Cody, who comes in and slams the door shut. But after whatever happens today, Wilkinson will not be available tomorrow. We'll have to see somebody else carry the torch if Harwich can have a lead at that point, something that they still do not have not had at any point this year against the Whitecaps. Castillo takes the 2-0 for a ball, now 3-0.
At the very least, Dalton Smith gave you 3 innings yesterday and took the pressure off some of the bullpens, so could be a lot worse for the Mariners, but again, you don't want to set yourself up in a position where you're throwing tired arms in a must-win game tomorrow, potentially.
And you don't want to load the bases with nobody out right now, but that is exactly what will happen. Back-to-back walks here, nobody out, bases loaded for Will Simpson, and you just have to think, we talked about it, yes, this is not a lineup that has been tearing the cover off the ball this year, but you can only give them so many chances like this before they break a game wide open.
Yeah, I think they now have taken over the lead for most walks drawn from the Mariners based on how this game has gone thus far. It's already 6 drawn for the Whitecaps, and another bases-loaded opportunity, and a guy who does a lot of damage in Will Simpson at the plate.
Simpson looking to do some of that patented damage here. Ball gets away momentarily from the catcher, Tinsman. That is now 9 pitches outside of the strike zone. Back-to-back 4-pitch walks to Chris Lanzilli, who stands on second, and Chad Castillo, who stands on first. That moves Jake Thompson to third for Will Simpson. We have not seen command issues like this all year long from Danny Wilkinson, who gets a foul ball and gets back in the count. It'll go to 1-1.
Oh, and this Will Simpson here does have a grand slam on the season.
I'll bite my tongue about the rarity of certain things happening a quantity of times. As the 1-1 is that rainbow curve that'll miss upstairs across the letters. Count goes to 2-1. Simpson a walk and a strikeout today already. Curtis Burns standing in the on-deck circle. Again, still no outs for the Whitecaps. They stranded him loaded back in the 4th. Stranded a couple of guys in scoring position in the 1st and 2nd as well. Big opportunity here. 2-1 misses upstairs, and now Wilkinson's got nowhere to put Will Simpson.
That grand slam actually not too long ago, 10 days ago, in a 8-6 loss against the Orleans Firebirds in the 8th inning.
And that's been kind of a weird thing this year. Orleans has had Brewster's number in 2021 for whatever reason. Big swing and a miss. That'll make it a 3-2 count. As Wilkinson challenges Simpson with a fastball, he was thinking grand slam again. Came up empty, and it's now a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out here in the home half of inning number 5. Bases loaded for the Whitecaps in a 2-2 ball game. The payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. He got him. That'll be the 3rd strikeout of the day for Danny Wilkinson, and it does allow potentially a double play to wrap things up.
Another frustrating end to an at-bat for Will Simpson. Ran the count full once again. Just couldn't put the ball in play. Big out, though, for Wilkinson, and now a ground ball can get you out of the inning unscathed.
Yep, middle infielders will drop back to double play depth. We don't see the corners playing in quite as sharply as they were earlier in this game. Curtis Byrne at the plate, swings and misses the first pitch he sees. Ground out on a sac bunt and a walk. That's your day for Curtis Byrne. Has not been allowed to swing away freely at a whole lot this year. Or correction, this game. 0-1 to Byrne. Big swing and a miss. He falls behind 0-2, and whatever mojo Wilkinson may not have had at the beginning of the inning, he may have found a way to get it back.
Yeah, he must know that the end could be near if he isn't able to. There is an arm warming in the Mariners bullpen in case things go south, a right-hander.
Again, you don't want to burn up too many arms, but if you're Harwich, can't really afford to drop this one either. Got to do everything you can in a tie ball game. The 0-2 misses way upstairs. That's going to allow the run to try to come home. Tinsman picks it up, scoops it to first. It's not nearly in time. Correction, scoops it home. And that is the lead back in the hands of the Whitecaps for the 3rd time today as these teams trading 1-run appearances.
That's a frustrating one for Wilkinson. Had the batter down 0-2 in the count. Tried to get him to chase the fastball, and he just airmailed it right to the backstop. Good effort from Tinsman hustling that ball, but not much give on the backstop, the chain link fence, and Thompson just able to get in.
Yeah, the only tougher place in the league to make that play is probably White House Field. As a swing and a miss will be a recorded strikeout to Curtis Byrne. That'll put 2 away, but the run already across, and that brings up Nick Biddison. And I don't know why he was where he was. Josh Hood, the shortstop, came jogging in from left center field before that play. He was way out of position. I don't know what he was doing out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But either way, it's 4 strikeouts on the day here for Danny Wilkinson. Just needs 1 more as he'll face Nick Biddison, who's reached twice without a hit today. Reached on an error, was hit by a pitch. Takes breaking ball at the knees for ball 1.
Man, that pitch just came 1 too late. Had he gotten that strikeout without the wild pitch, then all the pressure shifts to Brewster with the bases loaded and 2 down.
Certainly does. For the Whitecaps in this game, no RBIs on hits, as this is that low strike call. You look at how they've scored their runs today. Chad Castillo came around to score on an error. Chad Castillo came around to score as Trey Faltini walked him in, and a wild pitch allows Jake Thompson to score. Big swing and a miss, climbing the ladder on Nick Biddison is Wilkinson. Count goes to 1-2.
And if the Mariners are able to get out of this inning with only 1 run given up, that's still a win. Obviously a little disappointing that they could have gotten it out with none, but you're talking bases loaded, nobody out. That is never an easy situation for a pitcher.
1-2 at the knees, not called a strike this time. Count goes to 2-2. And yeah, I mean, these teams have just been trading these little rink-a-dink 1-run innings. You wonder if either of these teams will find a way to break it open or if they'll keep kind of trading little blows. The 2-2. In there. Strike 3. Danny Wilkinson strikes out back-to-back-to-back batters, but a run comes across on a wild pitch, and the lead is back to the Whitecaps. It is a 3-2 game as we head to the 6th here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back at the ballpark, Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. Another inning of work coming here for Dylan Simmons. And Harwich, once again, chasing down the deficit, trying to come back and find a way to get themselves into the lead. 2 more guys stranded in scoring position for the Whitecaps, but Harwich has been in similar situations throughout the course of this game, including stranding 2nd and 3rd in the 5th. Just got to find a way to get a couple of these runs across.
Yeah, it's got to be maddening in that visiting dugout. Every single time they get close or get some momentum against the Whitecaps, something seems to go wrong. And last inning was another case. Granted, they could definitely take some momentum out of only giving up 1 run with bases loaded and nobody out. But, man, they were so close to getting out of that jam without surrendering the tie game.
Harwich has stranded 7 runners on base. 5 of them have been in scoring position. On the other side of things, the Whitecaps have stranded 8 on base. 6 of them have been in scoring position. We could be looking at a much different ball game on both sides of things. As for the Mariners, it'll be Josh Hood to lead things off. He'll take a ball on the outside part of the plate. Count goes to 1-0. It'll be Hood, Tinsman, and Max Codier. 2 up for the Mariners. 3rd time through the order here. Hood was at the dish Hood was in the on-deck circle when Beck flew out to end what could have been a huge inning for the Mariners. He takes strike 1 here. The count evens at 1-1.
And Hood was one who put the ball in play that led to a run for the Mariners on the double error play it short from Trey Faltini.
Count goes to 1-1. Now the count goes to 2-1. As this pitch misses outside. And yeah, looking at it, Carter Putz has driven it, or has been the only guy today to drive in a run. As the 2-1 misses down and away, count goes to 3-1 here on Hood.
But Faltini does in fact get an RBI due to drawing a walk that brought in a run.
Yep.
So only 2 actual RBIs in this game.
Yeah, only 2 RBIs. Only one of those 2 a run, quote-unquote, driven in as Hood skies this one up, drifting into foul territory, chasing it down the line, and unable to make the play is Chris Lanzilli. So the count stays full here on Josh Hood.
It's interesting to see Lanzilli in right. We saw him in left a lot with Harwich or as a designated hitter.
I believe we saw him out in right in that home game.
Did he play a little bit of first base too? I feel like he was also at first a little bit.
Yes, he did play first base, affectionately given the nickname Bombzilli by Coach Steve Englert. Now, of course, just another name on the opposing scorecard to try to go out and get a win against for Coach E and the rest of these Mariners. Payoff pitch misses upstairs, and for the 3rd time today, Josh Hood reaches base, and the leadoff man is aboard for the Harwich Mariners, something that in this game has not happened since the 1st inning.
Yeah, to set the table, and like you said, it hasn't happened much. And even when Press Kavanaugh reached base in the 1st, he was quickly dispatched via a fielder's choice. So we'll see if the Mariners can do anything with it. Maybe we'll see some small ball. We'll have to see. But Tinsman at the plate, another patient hitter in this Mariners lineup. And
runs have come at such a premium between these two that you just get the feeling, if you're Harwich, you got to do anything you can to scratch something across. Tinsman's done a good job of getting on base all year long. He takes ball 1 up around the eyes. And the count goes 1-0. Tinsman already has a walk today, also has a strikeout. We mentioned he has pretty good power numbers at Wake Forest. We have not seen that translate to the Cape here so far. Been more of a consistent contact hitter, table setter type of guy. Takes a big cut at this pitch, a fastball up, and evens the count at 1-1.
Of course, we won't see it happen, and I feel like we were truthfully robbed of seeing a potential playoff matchup between these two teams with Bryce Hubbard and Trey Dombrowski squaring off in Game 1 of that series.
Talk about the potential for a quick game. 1-1 to Tinsman. That'll miss low. Count goes to 2-1.
It's crazy how similar both those guys have been. All making 6 appearances, both with 45 strikeouts, ERA nearly inseparable. Dombrowski with a .85, Hubbard .87.
And of course, the Mariners get to hold on to their guy for the playoffs. Hubbard has since gone home. The 2-1 misses down and away. Count goes to 3-1. And for all the talk about how good Dylan Simmons has been this year with location and accuracy and not putting guys on for free and not giving up earned runs, well, he's not really looked so strong in all but one of those categories. Still has yet to allow an earned run in this game.
Yeah, 4 walks coming into this game. About to put 3 on in this outing alone.
Green light's going to be on for Tinsman. 3-1 pitch. He is swinging, pops it up out to right center field. Drifting over is Chris Lanzilli. He'll look up, make the catch for out number 1.
Yeah, that's a huge out for Simmons. Maybe a confidence builder because that control has certainly been an issue. Able to get a guy as disciplined as Tinsman out. Now all of a sudden this easier, a little bit easier to get this inning, a little bit easier to get out of if you're on the mound and you're Simmons.
Does bring up Max Codier, who had been on a bit of a tear and then kind of went from a mini tear to a mini slump. And he is still looking to break out of that. 0 for 2 today, couple of flyouts for Codier. Was not in the lineup in the win against the Chatham-A's. 0 for 3 in his game before that. Take the first pitch low for a ball. Codier 0 for 3 the day before that as well. But you go back to that Hyannis game, and he really did help the Mariners to what ended up being a narrow 2-run victory despite an 18-run outburst for Harwich against the Harbor Hawks. That same offense seems to have vanished from Hyannis, who still trail the YD Red Sox 9-2.
They're able to get on board in the top of the 4th inning, but YD quickly responding with a run of their own.
Also don't know how much longer that game will be allowed to play for, as no lights out at Red Wilson Field. Here's a ball chopped right to the first baseman. Throw down to second. Tag is not in time. It was a close play as that ball was chopped to Thompson, who turned, stepped on the bag, and then fired a strike to Trey Faltini over at second. So Josh Hood moves into scoring position. He still represents the tying run, but with 2 away, that'll bring up Press Kavanaugh, who today is 1 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a single.
That was nearly an excellent defensive play by the Whitecaps. Thompson threw a strike to Faltini, who put the tag down perfectly. Just a little bit late, the slide from Hood, just enough to get his foot in there, and that's the important thing. It gives one of your best contact hitters an opportunity to do what he does best and just put the ball in play.
Yeah, that definitely could have gone differently. Harwich Mariners fortunate that it didn't. And once again, they'll have a runner in scoring position. Trying to tie the game with one of the best contact hitters on the Cape at the plate. Press Kavanaugh stands in to face Dylan Simmons. First pitch to him. Misses upstairs. Count goes 1-0. Harwich stranded runners on second and third back in the second inning. Stranded a runner on second in the fourth. Runners on second and third in the fifth. They've got a runner on second they don't want to strand here in the sixth. The 1-0. Misses up and out. Count goes to 2-0.
Just a batting title watch. Clark Elliott 0 for 2 currently. His average has fallen to 351. Kavanaugh currently at 347.
Here, 2-0 the count to Press Kavanaugh. Pitch on the way. Misses off the plate. Count goes to 3-0. Kavanaugh likely going to be taking all the way here. Trusting the guys behind him right now, and why not? Kristen Wool, Brock Wilkin, Dylan Phillips, but again, only if they can get to those guys. See if Kavanaugh's got the bat on the shoulder here. The 3-0. Fastball down the pipe, no interest in offering for Press. Count goes 3-1.
Yeah, he might try to make him throw another strike here with how Simmons has been struggling locating his fastball.
Yeah, he has only allowed one hit, and that was the RBI double to Carter Putz. Aside from that, the other two guys who have reached base got there via walks. Instead, Kavanaugh's going to lace this one to first. It's going to be a close play at the bag. Kavanaugh steps on the base. Did he get there first? They say he didn't. As Simmons comes over, it's a bang-bang play at the bag. But when all is said and done, Press Kavanaugh thrown out, hustling down the line, and that will do it for the top of the sixth. To the home half we go. Brewster looking for more when we come back. They lead it 3-2 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we get set for the home half of inning number 6 rather. Third inning of the second third of this game, if you want to look at it that way. But either way, it'll be Trey Faltini, Spencer Jones, and Tony Bullard to face off against Danny Wilkinson. And this has just been a weird ball game. Let's call it what it is. It could very easily be a 4-run lead for either one of these teams. Instead, it's a 1-run lead for the Whitecaps. Both teams have stranded just a ton of runners. And you get the feeling both teams could potentially find a way to break this open as Faltini squares to bunt, pulls it back, and takes ball one from Danny Wilkinson.
And you mentioned that there could easily be a lot more runs scored. It could also go the other way. I mean, there's a lot of runs that probably shouldn't have come in for either team.
Yeah, 5 runs total have been scored, but as we mentioned, only 2 RBIs officially on the day, and one of those was a guy who got walked in. Carter Putz is the only one to put a ball in play that then directly resulted in a run coming across to score. The 1-1 from Wilkinson. Fouled away here. Back into the screen. Count goes to 1-2 on the Whitecap shortstop, Trey Faltini.
Yeah, Faltini from the University of Texas. His Longhorns eliminated Jordan Beck's Tennessee Volunteers from the College World Series.
Certainly a number of top-notch college prospects here. Faltini ducks out of the way on an inside fastball. Count goes to 2-2. Another inning of work coming up here for Danny Wilkinson, which is important because, again, Harwich not trying to eat into the bullpen too much, but still in a close ball game right now. Alex Rayo, at last check, was up and warming in that Harwich pen. This pitch missing down and away. Count goes to 3-2. It's a full count. And we've seen a lot of these today.
Yes, we have.
That's gone on both sides. As pitchers have struggled with command just a bit, we have not seen a lot of pitches put in play. And maybe this is just the evening out after a couple of really quick games between these two. Faltini fouls this one, or actually skies this one into foul territory off down that right field line, and the count will stay full.
Yeah, that one almost dropped in. Had it done that, Faltini with his speed would have easily been into second base. And talking about a great opportunity for the Whitecaps to pad onto their lead. Something they haven't been able to do today, which we've seen in the past, is add on to their leads. This time the Mariners able to at least keep the ball game close. If they're stranding all these runners, they're pitching, which has struggled at times, especially with command, still able to keep them in this ball game.
That does kind of feel like classic Brewster, though. I mean, again, they don't have the resume of a team that blows a lot of other teams out. They kind of just do whatever is needed to get the victory. It's worked out for them so far. Payoff pitch. Fouled off again. We'll do it again. That's off the leg of a camera. Or the tripod holding the camera, rather.
Yeah. Camera person down the left field line, right in the firing range.
So we'll do it again. Count is full to Trey Faltini. Pitch on the way. Fouled off, spoiled again by Faltini. And how about this, Colin? 3 games played between these two so far. 2 hours and 35 minutes, 2 hours and 59 minutes, 2 hours and 35 minutes. Another 250 outing between these two. And this one, definitely going to be the longest.
No question.
So far this year. 3-2 pitch, breaking ball in there for a called strike. Faltini, watch that one go from helmet level to chest level. Strike 3.
Excellent pitch there from Wilkinson. There's one thing we can't rule out, Tyler, that would make this game shorter than at least the most recent longest one. A impromptu solar eclipse.
I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. Certainly unlikely. Not impossible. As the first pitch is swung on and taken, hooking foul quickly. That'll get down in foul territory for Spencer Jones, the only man who has not reached base for the Whitecaps today. That was the 4th consecutive strikeout here by Danny Wilkinson, who now has 6 Ks since entering the game in the 4th inning.
Yeah, his struggles with command have kind of overshadowed just how dominant he has been when he's been finding the strike zone. 5 strikeouts in such a quick span. Really impressive. As long as he's able to keep runners off base, he's cruising now.
Well, and this is the first man that he faced in Spencer Jones, who is behind here 0-1. Evens the count at 1-1. But yeah, strikeout, strikeout, single, walk, walk, strikeout, 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 strikeout. There's your day so far for Danny Wilkinson. Bookending a little bit of trouble, and ultimately didn't even allow a run to be driven in. As Jones cuts through this one, tips it back into the glove of Tinsman to make it a 1-2 count. It was a wild pitch that brought in what is currently the only difference between these two teams and Jake Thompson.
It's crazy how just one pitch might be the difference in you picking up a win or a loss.
And that would be a crushing defeat for Harwich if the score holds, and that's what ends up being the difference between these two teams. Count goes to 2-2. Breaking ball misses low and away.
Still got at least, I'd say, an hour and a half of daylight, but that's something to keep an eye on as this game is kind of crawling along. But if it picks up pace, we should be in good shape.
2-2 fouled away. Of course, that's a big contributing factor. We've seen a lot of full counts. We've also seen a ton of pitches spoiled as guys go for strikeouts. Wilkinson, surprisingly, his pitch count getting up there a little bit here through just his second complete inning of work. 2-2. And this is going to be stung into center field. That'll get down in between Newell and Beck. A wide turn over there at first base for Spencer Jones, who finally finds his way on base.
You foul off a bunch of pitches, and eventually you'll get one to hit, and that's exactly what Jones did. breaking ball from Wilkinson, and Jones wasn't fooled by it. Ripped it right back where it came, and Whitecaps unable to get the leadoff man on this inning, but a one-out single, and they're still putting the pressure on these Mariners pitchers.
And that brings up Tony Bullard, who is 2 for 3 with a strikeout today. 1 out in the inning. Jake Thompson on deck. Mariners trailing it by 1. Pitch on the way, in and out of the glove of Tinsman, called strike 1.
It's an interesting lineup here for Brewster in that you got alternating bats, lefty and Jones leading off, Bullard the righty, then back to the lefty and Thompson, and then the cleanup man Lanzilli, a right-hander.
Yeah, it really does make it to where you can't put in a guy for a couple of batters. If you're trying to go matchups, a swing and a miss here by Tony Bullard. He comes up empty. Count goes to 0-2.
Castillo after Lanzilli, a left-hander, I believe, and then Simpson, the righty.
Yep, definitely a good setup that Brewster has, and one of the few teams in the league that has the luxury to be able to do that with their top guys, as Wilkinson will step off the rubber. Wants another moment to think this next pitch over. Count stays 0-2 on Tony Bullard, who, as I mentioned, does have 1 strikeout already today. It did come at the hands of Danny Wilkinson. The 0-2. Swing and a miss. Tips it back into the glove of Tinsman, and that is strikeout number 7 for Danny Wilkinson.
Very reminiscent of what we saw from Trey Dombrowski out of the bullpen against YD. Just so many strikeouts from the left-hander Wilkinson. Obviously, that 1 run still looming large, but outside of that rough start to the outing, he has been outstanding on the mound.
And this is kind of why we wondered, would Wilkinson be called in earlier in the game? And you just wonder if it was Wilkinson that came in. You can always play the what-if game, but if it was Wilkinson that came in instead of Stewart, could potentially still be a tie ball game. First pitch foul away here by Jake Thompson, the only guy with a hit on Wilkinson so far.
And keep in mind, he also came in with the bases loaded, so you wonder if he'd started that inning and there weren't the walks that Stewart had struggled with early on, what that inning would have looked like and what the landscape of this game would look like.
Certainly could have changed the tone. Wilkinson settles in, the southpaw, checks the runner back to first, brings home the 0-1. In there for strike 2. Taking all the way, seemingly, was Thompson. That was about the best pitch he's probably going to see. Fastball down the pipe.
Katuic jumped out to a 2-0 lead early in Falmouth. That's a significant game for the Western playoff picture, so we'll see if the Kettleers can find themselves in the postseason once again.
0-2. Swing and a miss. No, he tipped it just foul. Barely got a piece of that. As Jake Thompson swung at a pitch in the dirt and basically pinned it in place. So the count will stay 0-2. Spencer Jones did take off on the play. He'll have to come back to first. I mean, Dylan Phillips is a pretty big guy, but when you see Spencer Jones standing next to him, Phillips does not look quite as tall. All 6'7" of Spencer Jones on first. The 0-2, that's in the dirt. Jones takes off again. This time he will reach base safely. So Jones is on second with a stolen base.
Second steal so far for the Whitecaps, not too surprising based on what we've seen from them all season long. In fact, 2 almost seems low for the 6th inning.
Does put a critical runner in scoring position. Jake Thompson at the dish right now with a 1-2 count. Danny Wilkinson looking for what could be the 8th strikeout in 2 1/3 innings. He'll have to wait for another pitch, though, as this one misses down and away. Two and two the count. 2 outs here in the inning. Harwich trails it 2-3. Brewster, the runner on second base. For Jake Thompson, pitch on the way. He fouls it off the chest plate of Tinsman. Count stays at 2 and 2.
Another at-bat being dragged out. Seen it time and time again. Looking at Wilkinson's pitch count, he's already about to throw his 65th pitch of the game.
And that's what I'm saying. For a guy that checked into the 4th inning, we're now talking about the 6th inning. He has been labored with a lot of pitches, a lot of long at-bats. That's happened on both sides. The 2-2 misses upstairs. Count goes to 3 and 2. It's a full count to Thompson, who has reached twice already today. Reached on a fielder's choice back in the 3rd inning, singled and scored a run back in the 5th. Flew out to center in his first at-bat back in the 1st inning. 3-2. Wilkinson has retired 7 batters, all via the strikeout. This is fouled away. And that's kind of another crazy stat to think about. 7 outs recorded, all of them on a swinging or looking strikeout.
Yep, any ball put in play has resulted in a hit. And then, of course, you factor in the walks surrendered as well.
So the count's still full. Jake Thompson steps back in for the 7th pitch of the at-bat. And he will pop it up high in the air. Should be easy work for Brock Wilken, who settles under it, looks up, and makes the catch for out number 3. So, to the 7th inning we go. Still a 3-2 ball game here at Stony Brook Field. Whitecaps lead it when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. And for the final 3 innings, or 3 hours, whichever comes first, turn it over to Mr. Colin Casey. Colin, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. Yeah, 3 innings from now we'll be in total darkness, or 3 hours, I should say. I didn't want to speak that into existence by accident, but we head to the 7th. Chris Newell will lead things off for the Mariners against Dylan Simmons, who is back out there. It hasn't been an easy inning in the 3rd for Simmons, but so far so good. He is yet to give up an earned run. Looks to pitch a clean 7th for the Whitecaps. First pitch to Newell, backhanded, stopped by Byrne. It's in the dirt.
Yeah, has yet to give up a run that was charged to him either. Brock Wilken came around to score, but he was, of course, still on the hook with Griffin Green. So Harwich still looking to get at the new arm in the game.
Newell swings at the 1-0 and sends it in the air out to left field. Castillo taking a couple of steps over the ball. Trails on him a little bit at the end, but he's able to make the grab. And it just takes 2 pitches for Simmons to retire Newell, 1 down in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, and you start seeing guys getting a little bit more antsy here as we get into the back part of this game. See a couple more power swings, certainly from Newell, who was flied out in 3 of his 4 at-bats.
Brock Wilken digs in. He's reached base twice, once on a fielder's choice in the top of the 1st. He then struck out swinging in the 3rd and walked and came around to score the most recent Harwich Mariners run. Driven in on a Carter Putz double. First pitch to the Wake Forest 3rd baseman is in for a called strike.
And speaking of, again, just the risk of darkness coming in here to potentially end this game, there are other fields without lights. Not a lot of them are played at the bottom of a bowl, effectively.
1-0 in tight.
I mean, you look at where Stony Brook Field is located. It's at the bottom of a hill. You got the tree line and the hill. So the sun sets here at the same time as everywhere else, but it gets darker here a lot faster than it does at, say, Katuitt.
Certainly does. The 1-1 in the dirt to Wilken. There is a right-hander warming for Brewster, but the number 11 is not on the roster, so we could be seeing a debut for the Whitecaps in what could be a high-leverage situation. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it as Wilkin flares one out to shallow center field. Davis coming in quick, or Jones, I should say. He can't get there, and it's a one-out single for Brock Wilkin.
Yeah, and again, this is what Harwich has had to work with in this game. It hasn't been a lot. They haven't been squaring everything up, but they found ways to take advantage when they've gotten base runners, whether that's with an error or a walk or a shallow hit like that. It puts Dylan Phillips at the plate, one away, runner on first. You just need one to tie it, two to take the lead. Harwich has stayed tantalizingly close to Brewster in this game.
And in steps the powerful bat of Dylan Phillips. 3 home runs on the season. In fact, they all came in consecutive games. It's been a few days since then, though, so his power has cooled off a little bit. Maybe he's due. First pitch, backdoor breaking ball. Simmons can't get it over the outside corner to the lefty.
I mean, even if he doesn't put one over the fence, just a ball in the gap somewhere. Just something solid to get the offense rolling again. You got Carter Putz on deck, who has already driven 1 run in today. Just get a guy in scoring position. Trust your cleanup man to get the job done.
The 1-0. Big cut by Phillips, and he fouls it off the back of his leg.
Yeah, it's not going to feel good. It'll take a second to kind of shake this off a little bit. And again, not exactly blazing speed at first base for Brock Wilkin. So you get the feeling Harwich will probably be a lot more conservative with him over there.
2 runs on 5 hits, 1 error so far for Harwich, and the big number, 8. 8 runners left on base. 1-1 to Phillips, misses up and away.
Yeah, 8 runners left on base, and at least 5 of those, maybe even 6, in scoring position. So that's been the thing that's kind of killed Harwich. They've gotten opportunities, which they didn't have opportunities in the first couple of games against Brewster. They've had their chances. They have not been able to capitalize so far this afternoon.
Shaded is covering almost the entire infield at this point as Phillips sends one in the air back, and it will clear the press box out of play. Counts even 2-2.
Yeah, may have caught the netting that sits over top of the playground here at Stony Brook.
Definitely a shout out to whoever came up with that plan. I mean, those pop-ups, you can probably lose them in the sun in these day games here in Brewster, and last thing you want to be doing is going down the slide and catching one right in the head.
Would not be great.
I think our own Tim Foley was eyeing it. He wanted to go down the slide earlier today as the 2-2 misses outside.
I know our producer Chris Cassidy was looking at the swings.
Yeah. Three balls, 2 strikes the count. Long look in for Simmons. Waiting for the sign. He nods, checks at Wilkin at first. Now the payoff pitch. Breaking ball, hit a ton out to right field. Going back, Lanzilli to the track. Wall, see ya! Dylan Phillips with his 4th home run of the season, a 2-run blast, and the Harwich Mariners, for the first time all year long, have a lead against the Brewster Whitecaps. It's 4-3.
It took 32 innings, but the Mariners finally hold the lead, and that's got to feel good. And we've talked about it. You called it out, too. Dylan Phillips is due for a big hit after a couple of slower outings. And now if you're Harwich, you're in uncharted waters. An opportunity here to potentially add on to this lead, but more importantly, a chance to hold this lead. Colin, it's the 7th inning. Brewster now trails. They're down to their last 6 outs. And we might see Owen Cody up and warming out in that Harwich bullpen after not too long.
One swing and the outcome of this game might have just changed dramatically. As a mound visit coming, and this looks like it is the end for Dylan Simmons. It is, and the Whitecaps are going to motion to the bullpen. They now trail the Harwich Mariners 4-3. We'll tell you about the new arm when we come back here on the top of the 7th inning. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. Welcome back to Stony Brook Field. What a turn of events it has been over the last couple of minutes. Dylan Phillips with a 2-run home run to give the Harwich Mariners a 4-3 lead in the top of the 7th inning. We have a new pitcher for the Brewster Whitecaps. It is John Mikulicek making his debut. And all of a sudden, Tyler, he's making his debut in a game which he thought he was going to enter with a lead, as the first pitch he throws is hit on the ground by Carter Puts to third. Dug out at first. A great play by Thompson. No, they say he came off the bag. A late call, and apparently the foot of Jake Thompson came off the first base bag, and we're going to have a bit of a discussion here.
Yeah, if it came off the bag, it didn't come off by much. And now Jamie Shevchek's coming over. He's going to have a word with somebody here. The umpire walking away from him, and now Shevchek will motion back to him and start backpedaling to the dugout. He just wants the umpires to come together and have a conversation here. But again, I mean, it feels like a completely different game than the, 3 2/3 of the baseball game that we've seen prior to this. The first time Harwich has the lead, and you can feel the urgency right now for the Brewster Whitecaps just a bit.
3 umpires discussing it, and they are not going to overturn it.
So an infield single for Carter Putz, and now Jordan Beck will take his hacks here.
So Mikulicek, who we didn't even get to tell you about, from Hofstra making his debut, had been warming up for the last couple of innings, and now he's already got some trouble here with Putz at first.
There's a righty up and warming in that Harwich Mariners bullpen. Not 100% sure who it is. I've got a couple of guesses, but we'll wait till Tim Foley gets back here with a word on that. In the meantime, strike one delivered to Jordan Beck. And I guess my thought is, you talk about the 3 guys you trust in a game like this. Danny Wilkinson already in the game. And one of the other guys, big arm out of Notre Dame, who's been doing really good things for the Mariners. That might be who it is.
That's exactly who I think it might be. It looks like it could be Simon warming in the pen for Harwich, as Beck swings and hits the 0-1 off to the right. That will make its way out of play.
And we've seen a couple of situations this year where they bring Liam Simon in for the 8th, they leave him out for the 9th, and until he allows somebody to reach base, they do not bring in Owen Cody. And he has just been, he's been equally electric down the back 9 of this season. Struggled a little bit early, but Simon's been really good for the M's recently.
0-2 the count to Beck, who singled in the second and has been retired in his last 2 at-bats. Mikulicek looks at first. Delivers the 0-2. It's hit on the ground. Right side past the dive of Thompson into right field for a hit. Putz rounds second. He heads to third. He's in standing. Beck's aboard with his second hit of the game, and the Mariners have woken up offensively in this 7th inning. Runners at the corners with 1 down.
Well, what were we talking about? I mean, this is a Harwich team that they just hadn't had a chance to let the floodgates open, and now, after a big home run, they're first against the Whitecaps all season long, and now they're starting to feel it a little bit offensively. Now they're looking for some insurance runs, and Colin, our hunch was right. It is Liam Simon up and warming out in that Harwich bullpen.
So Simon could be coming into an opportunity to at least get a hold and try to keep a lead. Well, he certainly will, as the first pitch comes into Josh Hood. And this is who the Mariners want at the plate based on today. Josh Hood has reached base in all 3 of his trips to the plate. A single in the second, reached on an error in the 4th, drew a walk in the 6th.
Yep, this has been one of the good days for Hood, and he's looking to continue it here.
Mikulicek comes set, the 1-0. Hit hard on the ground to second. This could be 2. The throw to second for 1. On to first. Double play. Mikulicek able to work his way out of the jam. A 6-4-3 double play. And just like that, the inning is over. But not before a go-ahead 2-run bomb from Dylan Phillips. And the Harwich Mariners lead it 4-3 at the 7th inning stretch here in Brewster. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
number 31 from Notre Dame.
Bottom of the 7th from Brewster. Sunlight fading quickly, and the Harwich Mariners find themselves on top. They lead it 4-3. Again, the first lead all season long for Harwich against a Brewster team they're all but certainly going to meet in the postseason. And it's Liam Simon on to replace Danny Wilkinson, who is now in line for the win. Tyler, enough can't be said about Wilkinson this afternoon, going 2 2/3, surrendering a pair of hits, a pair of walks, but 7 strikeouts and some huge ones with Brewster having the bases loaded and nobody out when he entered the game. Really clutch pitching performance from Wilkinson.
Yeah, I mean, he comes in with the bases loaded. He gets he gets 2 strikeouts to get out of that jam. Then he comes out the next inning, gives up a hit, a walk, and a walk. He loads the bases himself just to add a little drama, I suppose. Comes back and gets 3 strikeouts and then tacks a few more on. So, yeah, 7 Ks for him on the day. And now Liam Simon, one of the guys that you really have to like for the Harwich Mariners in a spot like this, coming in to try to at least get the hold.
First pitch swinging. Chris Lanzilli fouls it straight back. Simon on the season, 1-0 record, a 2.76 ERA. This is his 10th appearance of the season. 18 strikeouts to 8 walks. Flamethrower from Notre Dame skips in a breaking ball to Lanzilli, who has reached base twice today but has yet to record a hit.
And you do wonder, with how this game is laboring on, even with the 4 o'clock start, are we going to be able to play the final 9?
Certainly a question at this juncture. 2-1 the count to Lanzilli.
And I'm not saying that Harwich would do this because that's just not the Mariners' style, but we've seen in the Cape League, in situations like this, we've seen some stalling techniques used by some other teams in the past.
Scott Pickler. 2-1 grounder to second. Fielded cleanly by Codier. The throw, and Lanzilli is retired. 1 quick out for Simon to begin his outing.
As that'll bring up Chad Castillo, quick out. And that's what Harwich is trying to get right now. I mean, just get a couple of quick ones. They've got 8 outs left to record, assuming, of course, that the sun stays up long enough for them to try to record all of those.
Yeah, Castillo doing his part in the plate, that 5-hole. Trying to set the table. Of course, he represents the tying run. Simon's first pitch to him misses just below the knees.
And you got to be careful playing the what-if game, but let's also not forget a game between these two at White House Field, one of the only cancellations this season for the Harwich Mariners. What could that have done?
1-0 just inside. That, of course, really early on in the year. We haven't seen a lot of cancellations this season, but that was one of the games that was not made up after getting washed out. And a 3-0 count now to Castillo. Simon having trouble locating his fastball.
Yeah, Simon, a guy who's been excellent with command so far this year. Odd to see him get behind a batter like this.
Taking all the way. And that's a strike to Castillo.
Yeah, good call by Castillo. Doesn't want to get too aggressive here. His team now trailing Harwich for the first time this year.
3-1. Misses inside. So Castillo heads down to first base. He represents the tying run. It's a 1-out walk issued by Simon. Now the go-ahead run comes to the plate in the form of Will Simpson.
And I think we know enough about Brewster to know this game is not over yet. This game is far from over, especially with 8 outs, as we mentioned, the magic number for Harwich to record. Will Simpson at the plate, 2 strikeouts for him already.
Not to mention he was thrown out at the plate earlier in the game trying to extend the Brewster lead. First pitch misses.
And when both teams have stranded so many runners in scoring position, the margins are so fine. But yeah, that is one of the things you can look at and point to and say that's the difference right now on the scoreboard at 4-3.
1-0 misses high, and I don't think it was the wrong move at all to send him either. It was a really close play that could have gone either way. Just an excellent throw from Press Kavanaugh and an even better tag by Brennan Tinsman. From the stretch, Simon with the 2-0. Fastball just missing outside. He's not missing by much.
Yeah, it was a good call to send him. It was going to take a perfect throw to get him, but a perfect throw is exactly what Harwich got. And now, yeah, Simon really starting to labor here.
See if Simpson has a take sign. He does, and it just misses for ball 4. So after retiring Lanzilli to begin the inning, it's back-to-back walks for Liam Simon. And things Not too comfortable right now for the Mariners with 2 on and 1 out for Brewster. And that will prompt a mound visit from Mariners manager Steve Englert.
I mean, you're talking about a Brewster team that has had 18 base runners. They've had just 6 hits. Harwich has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting for them here. And, yeah, they've stranded a lot of guys, but you can't trust that that's going to continue throughout the course of a game like this. You got to start helping yourself out if you're Harwich.
Whitecaps have drawn more walks than they've gotten hits. 8 walks compared to just 6 hits.
Yeah, 8 walks. They've had a hit batter. They've gotten a couple of guys on with errors. I mean, it's been just kind of a hodgepodge of ways to get guys aboard, but it's gotten the job done. They trail by just 1, and now, once again, they're going to have an opportunity to try to even things up with the bottom 3 in the order.
So here is Curtis Byrne. He is 0 for 1, only 1 official at-bat. He had a sac bunt in the 2nd, drew a walk in the 4th, and struck out swinging his last time up in the 5th. First pitch from Simon, misses outside.
And we've seen a lot of that, too. It seems like whenever guys get a talking to on the mound on both teams, just it hasn't really calmed a lot of guys down. Typically, you see the next pitch out of the zone.
Yeah, Nick Stewart had a mound visit. The first pitch he threw after that hit a batter. 1-0, that one is over to Byrne.
Yeah, it kind of gets in your head, and sometimes you do need to go out there and have a word with the guy, but, yeah, again, it's always a struggle. It's always in the back of your head. As a pitcher, you feel like you got to do a little something extra.
Chad Castillo at 2nd, Will Simpson at 1st. 1 down in the bottom of the 7th. There's a fastball blown by Byrne as he swings and misses. The count now 1-2.
And another strikeout could go a long way here. You also have the opportunity for the double play. Plenty of chances for Harwich to get out of the trouble here.
It's a double play that got Brewster out of the jam in the top half of the inning, limiting the damage to just 2 Harwich runs. 1-2, chopped. This could be 2. Tough play. Codier tags it back. The throw in time. What an excellent play at second base by Max Codier. Scored that one a 4-3 inning-ending double play. And Simon and the Mariners are out of the jam. We're through 7 from Stony Brook Field. 4-3 Harwich. You're listening to the Mariners YouTube Network. We head to the 8th from Brewster. Harwich leading the Whitecaps by a score of 4-3. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry bringing you coverage on this Saturday afternoon of baseball. And looking around the rest of the league, we've got a real barn burner already in Falmouth as the Commodores, who trailed 4-1 going into the bottom of the 3rd inning, they've scored 3 times to pull even with the Cotuit Cavaliers in a series as monumental as this one is. Of course, neither of these teams have locked up playoff spots, whereas Brewster has already locked one up and Harwich is about to if they're able to hang on for a win or get some help. But Tyler, even with the playoffs cut in half from 8 to 4, still some really exciting playoff pushes down this final week of the season.
Yeah, and what we're watching here is kind of a battle for home field throughout the playoffs, assuming, of course, that something crazy doesn't happen. What you're seeing out west right now is a fight for the collective playoff lives between Falmouth and Cotuit. And while those two do battle, Wareham has an opportunity to try to climb back in themselves. So, big games all around the Cape right now. Of course, Harwich, if the score holds, would clinch a playoff spot tonight.
Brendan Tinsman leads things off for Harwich. The catcher has walked once in this game. He's also struck out and flown out. He watches strike one from John Mikulajczyk, who is back out for his second inning of work. Actually, this will be his first full inning as Tinsman hits one in the air out to shallow left field. Faltini, the shortstop, back to make the catch. It's a quick out number one to begin the eighth.
Yeah, and typically quick outs working to the Whitecaps' favor. And while Harwich would obviously like to get a couple of insurance runs right now, they've been cruising on the other side of things for the most part. So get the feeling anything is going to be beneficial right now. The Mariners, of course, looking to get a few more runs on the board before all is said and done. Don't feel comfortable with a one-run lead against a team that's pulled as many comebacks as they have.
Max Codier digs in. First pitch swinging, hits it to his second base counterpart in Biddison. The throw in time, so a quick at-bat for Codier, and took just three pitches to record 2 outs for Brewster. A much-needed bounce-back inning after giving up a pair in the seventh.
You and I were kind of joking around about Scott Pickler a little bit before the break, and you know, if this was Pick, there's always a chance we would see the bullpen emptied, the maximum number of mound visits used. You get a guy who walks out to second base to make a pinch running appearance. A little gamesmanship late in the year.
Chopper right side. It is a foul ball as Kavanaugh rolled over on one. Thompson couldn't quite keep in fair territory. That was almost an extremely efficient inning for Mikulajczyk.
I was about to say, on the other side of it, though, Harwich still tacking just like they have been all game, and they just about turned things over to the home half of the eighth without really even putting up a fight.
Talk about Pickler, but of course, Scott Pickler, one of the real cornerstones of the Cape League over the last several years. Of course, he was inducted in the Hall of Fame, CCBL Hall of Fame, 2 years ago during the 2019 season. Well deserved, as the 0-1 is ripped foul by Kavanaugh off to the right.
And of course we make our jokes, but the utmost respect for a guy like Scott Pickler, who's done so much, not just for the YD Red Sox, but as you mentioned, for the league at large, and a big part of the reason why he has a very worthy Hall of Fame induction.
0-2 to Kavanaugh, misses up and away. One of the most successful managers this league's ever seen.
Yep. But with all that being said, we've seen some stuff.
Yeah. Hey, if your field doesn't have lights, you might as well use it to your advantage.
Absolutely.
The 1-2 from Mikulajczyk. Backdoor breaking ball just misses outside to Kavanaugh.
Colin, I believe, I don't know if you remember this as well, but back in that 2019 season, there was a game. The sun was starting to set. YD had a one-run lead. Their guys took every pitch until they got into a 2-strike count, all the way through the lineup.
Press Kavanaugh rips one up the middle for a hit, his second of the game, and the Mariners have themselves a two-out base runner here in the eighth inning.
We'll see if they can do anything with it here with Chris Newell coming to the plate. But as I mentioned, I mean, yeah, sunset, not really a factor if you look at it on the internet. But again, the tree line certainly makes it a little bit darker. You've got the hill as well, and once the sun sets beyond that hill, it's game over.
So here's Newell. After homering in his return to the lineup yesterday, hasn't had the same success this afternoon. He's 0 for 4. Flew out his last time up. He watches ball one.
Yeah, you get the feeling Newell just needs something here. Whether it's a hit, whether it's a walk, he does not want to walk out of this game 0 for 5.
This game just passing the 3-hour mark here, just after 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Runner going, and Kavanaugh, the 1-0 misses low. The dive from Kavanaugh, he's out! What a throw from Curtis Byrne. It was a bang-bang play at second, and Kavanaugh, I don't think he can believe it, but he's also appears to be holding his hand after getting up. Maybe just some frustration. Regardless, the inning is over. So a caught stealing ends the top of the eighth for John Mikulajczyk and the Brewster Whitecaps. They'll look to even things up in the bottom half as the Whitecaps trail the Mariners 4-3. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network.
the ball game is all done at the visitors' dugout, you'll be organized and
Welcome
told
back
where
to
go
Stony
from there.
Brook Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. Liam Simon back out for his second inning of work as the Harwich Mariners are 6 outs away from securing a spot in the 2021 Cape Cod Baseball League postseason and a shot at winning their second consecutive Eastern Division championship and another trip to the CCBL Championship Series. But first, they got to get through the Whitecaps probably more than once based on how the rest of the season is shaping out. Of course, they play the Whitecaps tomorrow, and the next step after a win today would be home field advantage. First pitch from Simon is a called strike to Nick Biddison, who showed bunt, pulled it back at the last second.
Yeah, and early into the season, I mean, these were the two teams kind of bringing up the rear of the East after the first week and a half or so, but both of them find their way up into the top two spots, and more than likely, they will meet for a best of three and a chance to go to the CCBL Championship Series.
1-1 misses just outside. Of course, the YD Red Sox, for a while, first couple of weeks of the season, were owning the East, and things just did not go the Red Sox way the rest of the season as the 2-1 from Biddison misses low, 3-1. Especially, you go look back at all those ties they had, you wonder if they had gone one run in the positive direction, how different the standings would look as the 3-1 line down the right field line. This will be a fair ball. Beck goes to dig it out of the corner. Falling over the first base bag was Biddison, and he's just barely able to get back to first. You wonder what would have happened had he not slipped. Could he have made it to second? We'll never know, but the leadoff man is on for Brewster to begin the bottom of the eighth.
And bookmark that in the back of your mind, because Beck did struggle to pick it up out in right field. I think he likely would have been safe with a double, but yeah, he just hit the bag and face planted. And that's got to be embarrassing for Nick Biddison, but worse yet, Trey Faltini at the plate. I mean, you do have the leadoff man aboard, but still an opportunity for Simon to work a double play here.
Wouldn't be surprising to see Biddison end up at second, though, with a stolen base. He does have 6 steals on the season, as Faltini shows bunt, but he pulls it back at the last second. It's a ball.
And Harwich was very much ready for that. The corner is already in a little bit, and they'll stay in here. Wilkin playing on the infield grass. Not too much distance for Phillips to cover as he's holding the runner on first.
Faltini may be the 9-hitter, but he has reached base twice today and walked in a run. So he's done his part at the plate. Showing bunt again, Simon delivers. And it's a bit of an impromptu pitch out as Tinsman comes out of his crouch to play it, but no throw down to Biddison at first.
Yeah, Biddison staying close, and obviously once you have Phillips dart off the bag, it would be tough for him to get back in time to cover it up for a back pick attempt. So no worries there. Just got to go after the batter.
Sun is firmly tucked behind the trees. 2-0, and that one is a strike to Faltini, who once again pulls the bunt back.
Yep, and again, I mean, we talked about it. There are a number of different individual runs scored that you could look at. One of the others, the double error by Faltini after another error by Faltini. 3 errors by the same guy in 1 inning. Allowed 1 run to come across to score. Could be the 4-3 difference on the scoreboard right now.
Squaring again is Faltini, pulls it back again. A close pitch. Simon doesn't get the call. It's 3-1.
Yep, just outside, off the outside part of the plate. So the count does go to 3-1 here, and still an ideal count to try to lay one down for Faltini.
Simon, conscious of Biddison at first, comes set. Faltini shows bunt, the 3-1. He tries getting it down and instead pops it up foul into the protective netting.
And now he's going to have to swing away. Obviously, you don't want to risk laying a bunt down foul here with a 3-2 count. Could be a big bounce back pitch for Liam Simon.
Wonder if Biddison might be in motion with a full count. Simon shakes off Tinsman. Now he gets a sign he likes. The payoff. Bunt shown again by Faltini. He pulls it back and draws the walk. So Simon giving up a single to Biddison and then walking Trey Faltini. Tying run at second, go-ahead run at first, still nobody out for Harwich.
And the same spot that he got himself into back in the 7th, except there was an out then. There is not an out now. That'll bring up the top of the order in Spencer Jones, a guy that snapped an 0 for 3 with a single back in that 6th inning. And Harwich in desperate need of a quick out. And who knows? We might even see Jones try to lay one down here. Nobody out. Wouldn't be surprised. They'd push two guys in the scoring position if they can do it properly here.
He's got the speed to leg it out, and he shows bunt. It comes in and hits him. So Jones is hit by the pitch, and he is shaken up. He took it right in the ribs. But he heads down to first, and that loads the bases with still nobody out for Tony Bullard.
Well, you can't say Harwich doesn't want to make it interesting. They've done this 3 times today. Bases loaded, nobody out. I mean, if Brewster does not find a way to come back in this game, they are going to have a serious look in the mirror.
At the very least, they can say you can't win them all based on how the season has gone for the Whitecaps. But yeah, so many opportunities. They once again have the bases loaded with nobody out as the training staff is speaking with Spencer Jones. He's taken off his batting gloves. You hope it's nothing too serious, but yeah, he took a Liam Simon fastball to the ribs. That can never feel good.
Brewster has stranded 8 runners in scoring position in this game, including the bases loaded back in the 4th and 2 on, both in scoring position in both the 2nd and the 5th. They're still having a look at Jones over there. I mean, the numbers are astounding in this game as far as runners left on base. For both of these teams, really, it's part of the reason that as Jones will stay in the game, you hear the cheers from the Brewster Whitecap fans. Part of the reason why this game has taken so long to complete, despite the fact that it's just 4-3 on the scoreboard.
Now batting, the third baseman,
Tony Bullard.
Arizona, number 22, Tony
Had an opportunity.
Bullard.
Bases loaded. Still nobody out. Bullard on the day. Singled his first 2 at-bats, struck out his second 2 at-bats. Simon with the first pitch, fastball low.
And again, Simon's got to be careful. He's got nowhere to put him.
Biddison at third, Faltini at second, and Jones at first. Mariners win. They are in the postseason. Big swing, and Bullard fouls it off himself. Now he's shaken up.
And one thing we've seen that Simon historically has been very good about is racking up strikeouts. We haven't seen a single strikeout since he's checked into the game.
That's exactly what the doctor would order here.
And like everyone before him, he's only allowed 1 hit. But he's put a lot of guys on for free, and that can come back to bite you.
Off speed misses high. 2-1 now to the Arizona Wildcat and Bullard. Have to wonder what the play is on a ground ball, but right now the Mariners look like they're content to trade the tying run for 2 outs. 2-1. Fastball just misses, and Simon was shocked. His mouth was wide open. He really thought he had that pitch, but regardless, it's a 3-1 count. Another ball brings in the tying run. Simon's pitch. Fastball popped up, and that will make its way out of play. And Bullard yelling at himself. He knew he had a good pitch to hit.
Yep, and he'll have to get back up and try to do it again, but an opportunity for Simon to get that critical first out and then hope that maybe you get a double play to get out of it. I mean, you got options, but this is the biggest pitch of the game.
All of a sudden, the Mariners infield now coming in, prepared to cut down the tying run. 3 balls, 2 strikes, no outs, bases loaded. The pitch. Fastball misses outside, and this game is tied. Tony Bullard heads down to first. Nick Biddison comes in to score, and it is a 4-4 ball game here in the bottom of the 8th.
And it doesn't get any easier from here. You're going to have Jake Thompson, who is one of the best RBI getters on this team, at the plate. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Coach E is going to come out. This might be the end for Liam Simon.
Yep, and he will motion to the bullpen. So Simon's afternoon is done. He is responsible for all 3 runners on base. Pitching change from Brewster. We'll tell you about it when we come back. 4-4 ball game here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. new pitcher for the Mariners, and Steve Englert is incensed as he has given it to the home plate umpire. And I don't know if he was run from the game or not, but he just kicked dirt on the home plate, on home plate, I should say, and he stormed back into the dugout. I don't know if there was an ejection for sure, but he was not happy at all. This is easily the most angry we've seen him all season, Tyler.
No, and he comes out and has a word with umpires quite a bit, but not like that. That is unlike anything we've seen from Coach Steve Englert this year. And yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure whether he got tossed or not. I can't imagine that if he hadn't been tossed before, that when he sweeps the dirt onto home plate, he wouldn't be tossed after. But any way you want to put it, let's focus on what's going on the field right now. Bases are loaded, nobody out. Owen Cody comes into the game in relief of Liam Simon. What a mess he will inherit. Not something that other guys have not dealt with so far in this game, as we've already seen a couple of guys come into bases loaded situations, but this frustration, it comes from so many different things, and one of them has just been the fact that Harwich cannot get the job done against these Brewster Whitecaps. They had the lead for the first time all season long, and now that lead has turned into, at best, a tie if Harwich can't put more runs on the board.
So Cody looking to get out of the jam. Englert has exited the dugout, so I think that assumes what happened there. Jake Thompson bats, the bases loaded. Mariners will try to cut down the run at the plate. Yeah, just kind of a microcosm of how this season has gone against the Whitecaps for the Mariners. Just frustrating, to say the least.
And again, I mean, Coach E is a passionate guy, but Colin, you and I were here in 2019. That's either the first or second time ever that we've seen him get tossed. It doesn't happen that much, and now...
And some of the fans are really giving it to the home plate umpire as well, who has to dust off home plate.
To be fair, Jason Caraco forgot to sweep off the plate. Coach E covered it up with dirt. The batter stepped into the box. It would have been kind of hard to call balls and strikes if you can't see home plate. But we're ready to resume.
So one home in the inning. Go-ahead run at third in Trey Faltini with the bases loaded. First pitch, and Thompson hits one on the ground. Weird spin on it, and it will be a foul ball.
Yep.
And Brewster is incredulous, which is pretty hilarious considering the ball was a good foot outside of the third base bag when it was fielded by Brock Wilkin.
Right, and that's the line you got to take. It did bounce on the foul line, but then as Wilkin fielded it, it was well to that side of the bag, and Wilkin motioning to the dugout, telling them to calm down.
Yeah, he's got a smile on his face saying, yeah, that was a foul ball.
This is probably the chippiest we've seen any game between Harwich and anybody get. And again, you can understand why. These two teams do not like each other. Brewster has gotten the upper hand in every single game so far this year between these two. And they've got a chance to really come back and do it again. Bases loaded, nobody out.
Thompson does have a home run against the Mariners this season, but a fly ball will almost certainly give the Whitecaps the lead. 0-1, Chopper fouled off, and Cody has him right where he wants him. And we know Cody is an intense guy when it comes to pitching. We saw him get the save against Falmouth, and he was not ashamed to give some words to the Commodores dugout.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the guys that are out there right now. It is kind of a volatile mix of guys and personalities. But Harwich just trying to get 3 outs here, and at the very least, if they can salvage a tie, I mean, that's still big for the M's in terms of securing that last playoff spot.
Owen Cody comes set, the 0-2, a breaking ball. Smart take there from Thompson.
And they got to be careful with that, too, because, again, we've already seen in this game, anything back to the backstop, it's going to score a run. I mean, that's nothing but chain link back there stopping the baseball.
Brewster, if they're able to come from behind and win this ball game, go a long way into securing home field advantage in the Eastern Division playoff series. The 1-2, hit on the ground, right side, diving snag there from Codier. Doesn't know what to do with it, eventually throws to second to get the force out. A heck of a play, but the go-ahead run does score as Trey Faltini crosses home plate, and it's a 5-4 Brewster lead, and man, Codier is banged up after making that diving effort.
Yeah, Codier went down hard. He's going to get looked at here by the trainer, and it was strange because he had Tony Bullard right in front of him. And Bullard kind of just hung up there, stood there, went around him, not outside the base path, as it looks like he will be okay. Everybody stays in here, so it looks like Harwich more concerned with trying to get the out cut down at the plate, as now it looks like they will back it up here, middle infield at double play depth. But yeah, Harwich is going to have to find a way to come back and retake the lead. And again, both teams have squandered opportunities in droves during this game.
So now with the Whitecaps owning a lead, the question is who would come in to pitch the 9th inning with Dale Stanovich unavailable after going 2 innings yesterday. But we'll have to get to the 9th inning first, as first pitch from Cody misses outside to Lanzilli.
And isn't that just the ultimate worst-case scenario here? Harwich finds a way to come back, and then darkness sets in. You can't get through the bottom of the 9th. You have to go back to the last official inning, which, regardless of what happens here, would see the Whitecaps ahead. Just something to keep in the back of your mind.
Lanzilli fouls the 1-0 straight back. 2 home in the inning for Brewster. Look to make it 4-0 on the season against the Harwich Mariners. The team that beat them out for the final playoff spot last year, or sorry, 2 years ago. In the East, the 1-1. Cody can't locate the breaking ball, 2-1.
As keeping everything close on that outer half, and I think Cody definitely did get the scouting report. Everything down so far, trying to work a double play ball to his middle infielders if he can. Once again, I mean, the Whitecaps have an opportunity to break this game wide open. They haven't really cashed in at any point this year, or this game rather. Can they do it here?
2-1. Out in front of it, Lanzilli, but this should play to run. Wilkin fields it. He throws to first. It's scooped out of the dirt by Phillips, but it's an RBI ground out from Chris Lanzilli that brings home Spencer Jones. And the Brewster lead is up to 2. It's now 6-4.
And it's crazy to think that in a game like this where we've seen so much action, so many guys in scoring position, so many runs come across in so many different innings, 2 runs is the biggest lead of the day for either team.
Now batting, the left fielder from
Extremely
California
competitive
Baptist,
ball game.
number 51, Chad Cass.
Right now, not looking too good for the Mariners. Lost their lead and their manager in this inning.
And how does this translate momentum-wise that they can't come back and win this game to tomorrow's game, one that could potentially see them out of that first playoff spot, or out of that first spot?
Ball is hit out to center field and deep, and when this comes down, it'll be a 4-run lead for the Whitecaps. Solo home run, or 2-run home run, I should say, for Chad Castillo. The 5th time in this game he's reached base. And that might as well be the nail in the coffin. Brewster leads at 8-4.
Yep, and again, I mean, a ball that was driven well out to the deepest part of the ballpark. That thing never had a chance to come down in fair territory. And you want to play out the numbers, you want to play out the sunset, any way you want to look at it. Harwich, if they come back, if they score 4 runs to tie it up, I just don't see any way we're getting through this ball game, already approaching the 7:30 hour. And that's a shame because you never know what might happen, but yeah, it's just, you know, when it rains, it pours, and it's really snowballed on Harwich here.
First pitch strike to Will Simpson, and you know, those folks in YD watching this one very anxiously with their team up 11-2. Things could get interesting in a hurry as Simpson falls behind 0-2 to Owen Cody. I believe that's the first home run given up this season by Cody.
I think you're right.
Can't recall another instance as he is able to strike out Simpson on 3 pitches, but the damage has been done by the Brewster Whitecaps, who put up 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. They take an 8-4 lead into the 9th inning. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. To the ninth we go from Stony Brook Field, an 8-4 lead for the Brewster Whitecaps as John Mikulajczyk goes back out for a second full inning of work. And Tyler, he's got to be feeling really good after his team put up 5 runs in the bottom half of the 8th inning, and just another instance where a late rally from an opposing team derailing the momentum for the Harwich Mariners.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it during the break. The only runs Owen Cody has given up all year have come in games where he's entered trying to clean up somebody else's mess with the bases loaded. It's happened twice already this year. And now for Harwich, I mean, you went into that last half inning up by a run. Now you're down to your final 3 outs here in the ninth. You have a good part of the order due up to do it, but again, the big concern isn't so much for what happens for the rest of today. It's for, does this spill over into tomorrow's game? Still a big game left to try to pick up against the Whitecaps at White House Field tomorrow.
Quick defensive change to tell you about. Mac Bingham now in center field for Spencer Jones. Of course, Jones took that fastball off the ribs, so probably just a precautionary, as he did come in across to score, so he stayed in the game to run. Chris Newell to the plate for the Mariners. Watches strike one. Newell 0 for 4 on the afternoon. Mariners out hitting the Whitecaps, but once again behind where it matters the most in runs. 1-1 count.
Well, we've kind of played it out for you, but again, you take a look at it, and even if Harwich comes back and scores the runs, I just don't know if there's enough daylight left.
1-2 count. It's a real helpless feeling knowing that even if you're able to pull off the miracle, still probably isn't going to work out. About, I would say, 20 minutes max left of daylight.
Yeah, that sounds about right, given what we've seen.
1-2 pitch. Mikulajczyk can't find the zone.
But again, if you're Harwich, you've got to cut your losses. I mean, yeah, it'd be great to try to find a way to come back in this one, but you look at the scenario, you got to focus up on tomorrow's game as soon as this one's over. This is not something you can hang your head about when you got to play the Whitecaps again in 24 hours.
Foul ball catches the catcher Byrne. Yeah, need a quick memory with every game being so important, especially when you control your own destiny at this stage. I want to give the YD Red Sox hope that they can rally and steal that playoff spot from you. The 2-2 misses up and in. And we're talking about a YD team that hasn't missed the playoffs since 2008 either. That's a streak that Scott Pickler looks to continue. But he's going to need a lot of help from outside forces, namely the Brewster Whitecaps, taking care of business here and tomorrow. Payoff pitch from Mikulajczyk. Misses up and away, ball 4, and it's a leadoff walk for Chris Newell.
Yep, does put a runner aboard here for Harwich, and everything's got to be fast here. If you are the Mariners, Newell does reach as the leadoff man. The other thing you don't want to do, even if Harwich does clinch, which, we've talked about it, it's likely that the Mariners will clinch a playoff spot. Not a lot is required for that to happen, but the one thing you really don't want to do, you don't want to limp into the postseason. And for the Mariners, it's going to be critical if they can find a way to get a win against Brewster, build some momentum against Orleans and Chatham heading into a playoff series with the Whitecaps. That's not as bad as the alternative if they can't make something happen here.
Fastball misses in tight to begin Brock Wilkins' 5th plate appearance. Brock has reached base 3 times tonight, including a walk in which he came around to score back in the 5th inning. 1-0 is driven out to right field pretty deep. It will land inside the line. Fair ball. Wilkin will round first. He's into second. Up to third is Chris Newell. And here come the Mariners. Running out of daylight or not, they've got 2 in scoring position with nobody out in the 9th.
And again, this is the part of the order you want up here if you're Harwich. And I guess the one saving grace is if they can find a way to come back and again, at least tie this game up. Cody can work quickly. I mean, we've seen that throughout the course of the season.
He's going to have to work Dalton Smith quickly if Mariners want to have an opportunity.
And here we go.
Here comes a mound visit, and you know what? If you're Brewster, it makes a lot of sense to make this change anyways. I mean, Mikulajczyk struggling out there to start the inning, and he will depart, and this will take up some time. So pitching change to tell you about for the Whitecaps when we come back. You're listening to Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. New pitcher for the Whitecaps, Brendan Gurton, comes in to record the final 3 outs of this one. His team leads 8-4, but there are runners at second and third following Brock Wilkins' Cape League high 10th double of the 2021 season. He is at second. Chris Newell at third, and Dylan Phillips is at the plate. Last time he came up, he parked one over the right field fence, a 2-run shot that at the time gave the M's the 4-3 lead, but 5-run bottom of the 8th. Really the difference in this game for the Whitecaps. But at the very least, we're seeing the Mariners do what they did last time they faced Brewster, Tyler, and that's not go down without a fight.
Yeah, no, and that's really been kind of the progression. It was kind of, I wouldn't say that the Mariners rolled over in those first couple of games, but it was just a lot of soft contact. It was kind of that helpless feeling. They've shown fight in these last couple of games, but even if they can't pull off a comeback in this one, tomorrow's game is critical. You do not want to go 0-5 against a team you're probably going to have to face off against in the playoffs.
So here is Phillips. He will face Brendan Gurton, who is 0-1 on the season, making his 6th appearance. Made a couple of starts for the Whitecaps this year, a 5.23 ERA over 10 1/3 innings. From the windup, his first pitch misses low and outside.
And you got to think he'll probably be pitching Phillips carefully after watching him put one over the right field fence back in the 7th inning that at the time gave the Mariners their first and only lead of the season against the Whitecaps.
1-0. Phillips, a big swing, and he fouls it off to the left. I mean, at this point, if you're Harwich, you might as well swing for the fences.
Yeah, and nothing against it here. I mean, typically we do talk about just trying to keep the line moving, but with that sun fast falling behind the hill here at the lightless Stony Brook field, got to do what you can.
I mean, that sun is well beyond the tree line at this point. It's a matter of time before visibility starts to drop. If it already hasn't, 1-1 misses down and away.
Well, and of course, the other thing that does kind of hurt Harwich in this situation is that even if they score a couple of runs, I mean, granted, it doesn't make a massive difference if they can't even it up, but those runs would be erased if this game gets called early due to darkness. It would end as an 8-4 win for Brewster.
2-1 is sent a mile high onto the infield. Faltini camped underneath it, makes a catch. Both runners stay put. A much-needed first out for the Whitecaps.
Yeah, that's a big one. And you do have Carter Putz coming to the plate right now. Already an RBI double for him in this game. And this is the guy you want in this situation.
One other thing, Tyler, that we haven't mentioned is who are the Mariners going to turn the ball over to if they were to extend this game to a bottom of the 9th inning? They really have exhausted their bullpen in this game.
I mean, it'd probably have to be Cody for another inning, you would think. Just given what we've seen this year, not out of the realm of possibility.
First pitch to Putz just misses.
Let's put it this way. Given the guys that have come in and pitched in this game, I don't know that you have another arm you'd feel confident turning it over to in a situation like that. Maybe Matthew Pushard, he's looked good, but still in a pretty small sample size.
Might be better off saving him for tomorrow's matchup as Putz chases after one low. Count even 1-1. Putz has had himself a solid day at the plate, 2 for 4. Scored in the 4th after reaching on an error, and then drove in a run via double the following inning. Singled his last time up in the 7th. A couple of RBIs on base in scoring position. The 1-1. He swings at another one in the dirt.
Yeah, and all of these points are completely moot if Harwich can't find a way to score at least 4 runs here.
Yeah, they're going to need to take a page out of the Jim Kelly no-huddle offense and get them in as quick as possible.
And then if they do find a way to tie or take the lead, maybe just get out, head to the 9th.
Just deny warm-up pitches, I guess. The 1-2 misses down and away. Have Cody go out there and say, let's just throw it down.
Yep, just let's go. Get the guy in the box. Let's move.
2 balls, 2 strikes, the count to Carter Putz. Gurton working from the windup. 2-2 is flared off to the right. Thompson gives it a chase, but it will land in foul territory.
And this game has been a marathon. I mean, we're talking about coming up on hour number 4 of this one for a game that started at 4 o'clock. Obviously, the league doing what they can to try to get these games in so they can play all the way through. But even then, still coming up in this situation.
Sometimes even that's not enough. Another 2-2 pitch to Putz. Fouled off once again to the right.
And Colin, I know we complain about this kind of a lot, but you know, It's relevant, so let's complain a little bit more. I get it. At YD, you've got a house in a neighborhood. At Katuitt, you got a neighborhood in the area. There's not a house for miles around here. There's no reason this field shouldn't have lights.
I know. Believe me.
It's the one of the three that there's no excuse at this point. I understand it's a burden financially, but it's the best summer league ball in the Cape. You got to figure it out.
Putz continues this at-bat with another foul ball. I'm sure the players for the Whitecaps also would definitely be in favor of lights. They want to have all 9 innings to not only give your team a chance to win, but also impress these scouts.
Yeah, well, and again, it goes both ways. There have been times when I'm sure it's benefited Brewster, but I'm sure it's hurt them a number of times as well, where you would be able to come back, but you just can't.
2-2, check swing, and they say Putz went around. No appeal necessary, and he heads back to the dugout for the second out.
Yeah, it's a frustrating second out to record the first strikeout of the day for the new pitcher, and that'll bring up Jordan Beck, who now represents the final hope here for the Harwich Mariners in this one. And again, it's just going to be such a difficult task for Harwich, but they don't have another choice. To bounce back mentally, do whatever you got to do tonight, do whatever you got to do tomorrow morning, come to the ballpark ready to go, and find a way to get a victory over these Brewster Whitecaps tomorrow at White House Field.
Jordan Beck watches ball 1. The game all but over in YD as the Red Sox lead at 12-2 over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks as they look to inch a little bit closer in the standings to the Harwich Mariners. 1-0 from Girton. Swung on and missed by Beck.
Yep, that'll even the count here. And I mean, again, plenty of other action going on around the CCBL tonight. This will be one of the first games to finish up.
YD, by the way, will be in Hyannis tomorrow. So another favorable matchup for the Red Sox to keep their playoff hopes alive. 1-1. Beck fouls it off, and the Mariners are down to their final strike.
Yep, and again, I mean, it's all about tomorrow. Regardless of what you want to look at today, it's all about tomorrow. Mariners have got to reset.
Brewster faithful clapping it up for their team. Brendan Girton back on the rubber. Newell at third, Wilkin at second. 2 away in the 9th. The 1-2. Swung on and missed. Beck goes down swinging, and the ball game is over. The Brewster Whitecaps, with a come-from-behind victory, they score 5 in the bottom of the 8th to down the Harwich Mariners and delay their postseason berth by at least another game. When we come back, we'll wrap things up from Stony Brook Field. You've been listening to the Harwich Mariners on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back here one final time in Brewster, where the Whitecaps storm back to improve to 4-0 on the season against their bitter rival in the Harwich Mariners. Final score 8-4 in this one. And Tyler, just another chapter to a frustrating book for the Mariners this season when it comes to the Brewster Whitecaps.
Yeah, and that is, again, tomorrow, the final page of that book is going to be written for the regular season, and it's going to be important because there's a huge difference between winning the last game of the regular season and going into the playoffs, if you make it, with that mentality, as opposed to going into the playoffs knowing this is a team that you have not been able to beat, that you're 0-5 against. So, again, for Harwich, they got to do whatever they can to reset, come back tomorrow, and try to pick up a win.
4 runs on 10 hits, 1 error, and 13 runners left on base by the Harwich Mariners at 13. Certainly an unlucky number for Harwich this afternoon. Brewster with 8 runs on 8 hits, 3 errors, all committed by Trey Faltini in the same inning, and 11 left on base, but Faltini more than making up for it at the plate, reaching base 3 times and walking in a run. Winning this one goes to John Mikolajczyk in his debut. Gets the victory, comes in and a beneficiary of that big offensive outburst in the 8th inning, a 5-run 8th inning for Brewster, which saw Harwich manager Steve Englert ejected from the ball game. Losing pitcher Liam Simon falls to 1-1 on the season. The Notre Dame right-hander responsible for the go-ahead run coming across in that bottom of the 8th inning. No save to give out. Time of the ball game, 3 hours and 40 minutes is how long it took for the Brewster Whitecaps to take down the Harwich Mariners once again. Final score 8-4 for our producer Chris Cassidy. For my broadcast partner Tyler Henry, I'm Colin Casey. Same 2 teams will be in action tomorrow night at 5:30 in Harwich at White House Field, where the Mariners will once again try to lock up a spot in the 2021 Cape Cod Baseball League postseason. But for now, so long everyone. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow night.